Hilltoppers versus the Chesnee Eagles, Bojangles' Friday night rivals.
A long-awaited journey to Chesnee, an always highlighted border battle as South Carolina and North Carolina collide with community bragging rights on the line. It's the Chesnee Eagles and the Hilltoppers of RL Central getting ready to do battle. Anytime RS Central and Chesnee get together, you want to make sure you got eyes on it. He's Tom Van Hoy. A pleasure to have you with us. Jason Patterson here to guide you through it tonight. And Tom, this one, if a year ago is any indication, should be one we'll remember for a while.
Yeah, these two teams got after it last year, came down late. It could come down again. Two teams that want to run the football. You got to be able to defend it. Special teams play. A lot of things come into play tonight for both these teams.
Couple of two-year head coaches, second seasons at their respective programs, trying to get the foundation laid. Now, Brett Chappell, very familiar to folks in Western North Carolina, and a guy from the state of Illinois making his mark on football in the Carolinas. But it's a night that they can both take major strides.
Yeah, they can. Second year guys, as you mentioned a moment ago, and they want to set the culture, get their communities involved. And I think early on they've been able to do that. Second year, always you make a big step.
Playmakers abound in this one. They're going to be talking about it, as we said, from the Bantam Shelf down towards Strawberry Hill, up and down Highway 11, and across the state line, whatever happens in this one. What are you keeping an eye on, Tom, in terms of which direction the ball is going to bounce?
Well, I think in terms of RS Central, they need to finish. They had two really close ball games this year. And, you know, from Chesnee, they need to come out, run the ball, establish the run so that they can throw the ball.
Great deal of energy already as we push ever closer to kickoff, which is now just moments away. No doubt there will be a ton of it in this facility and all around the region. We're happy to have you with us on Bojangles' Friday Night Rivals as Chesnee and RS Central and their two communities collide. We've already heard it coming in the air tonight via Phil Collins here at Chesnee. Little inner Sandman a moment ago as the home team took the field. Everything you would want out of a Friday night football environment. And as you can see, this place is packed as they are for the first time being showcased on Friday Night Rivals presented by Bojangles. What a joy to have you with us as we embark upon this battle, this community battle, this border battle between the Hilltoppers and the Eagles. Tom, quickly, let's take a look at the keys to the game just before we kick off with RS Central set to receive the ball.
They got to finish. Two ball games they lost were close. Special teams play is a big deal for them. They want to make a difference there. You got to slow the option game. That's what RS Central is going to do. And you're talking about Chesnee. They need to be physical up front because you're going to see an RS Central team offensive line that's huge.
All right, the toss was won by the homestanding Chesnee Eagles. They're a little defensive. They deferred. It'll be RS Central football. We're glad you're with us on Bojangles' Friday Night Rivals. What a beautiful night in the upstate of South Carolina. And in this North Carolina versus South Carolina battle, foot goes into leather. We're underway. Pretty good return coming, and up across the 25 to the 27-yard line with the return is a guy whose name we'll call a lot, Jaquise Smith. And a 22-yard kick return sets things up for the Hilltoppers under the direction of Rylan Holly. He is a sophomore quarterback with high ceiling and high expectations. This is a guy in this option offense that has to make so many key decisions on a night like this, Tom.
And he has been so successful doing it so far, and that'll set up a lot of action off the passing game. They want to run first, but if he can get that option game going, opportunity exists downfield.
He's just a sophomore, but the staff portions of it at least, having coached him since his middle school days. So it's like he's in his 3rd or 4th season at the helm of this program. We told you coming in, but if you're just finding us a little later, second-year head coaches on both sides. You got Jim Ryan, who is leading this group to the charge. We'll give you his background. He's an Illinois native originally, who found his way to the state of North Carolina by way of Arizona State, was with the Sun Devils during his collegiate years, not as a player, but around that program, and it has marked him as the head man of this Hilltoppers squad. And his first called play from scrimmage, well, actually his coordinator, he said he takes the head coach's role, relies heavily upon his coordinators. They will work it into the hands of that backfield. You'll see it often, but the stop is made. We'll talk about who made the stop in a moment. First things first, give us the offense.
Yeah, look at Jaquez Smith, sophomore outstanding running back. You got Elmer Littlejohn, all conference. He can do it all. Wide receiver, running back, quarterback, and leading the guys up front of the O-line. Latham Metcalf, 6'5", 295, senior, all conference as well.
Zach Henderson standing in there deciding he was going to have none of that first play. Second down coming from behind the sticks. There is a look at the second-year head coach of the Hilltoppers. Again, Illinois native. He's from outside Chicago. He said the biggest difference for him, he was at schools of 1,000, 2,000 enrollment. The Ironman piece of it, a little different, but he's having to lean heavily upon that in his new location across the last couple of seasons there at RS Central. He'll rely upon his quarterback, Rylan Holly. And Tom, we're going to see a lot tonight of what you just saw on that play, and if they can effectively pull this scenario off regularly, they'll stick around. The group trying to stop it for Chesnee, however, the defensive alignment looks like this.
Well, you look at Jared Bishop, a senior DN up front there. The inside linebacker Benji Lazarin's outstanding. You get into the secondary, Carson Gazelle, and also the right corner Braylon Blanton, senior anchor that series.
Third down play, and it's going to be kept up the middle by Holly. He had Smith in tow. It looked like he, as we'll say throughout, had the option to hand that off, but kept it himself, and he is very close to the first down marker. This may be a measurement to determine whether we have our pocket change laundry first down for the initial time tonight. They're going to actually eyeball it and say, nope, he had enough. So it is a pocket change laundry first down, and the drive continues for the Hilltoppers of RS Central. Important first drive here, Tom, for RS.
Yeah, it is. They're on the road, and they've had a couple of really close games. They finished off last year, lost their last 4. They'd love to get that win here tonight.
Yeah, you talk about the first 2 games. Yes, they come in with an 0-2 record, but somewhat battle-tested as this is snuffed out right away. You know, they lost to a McDowell team that is on the rise, and North Henderson's not going to be that bad either. Those are the 2 losses on the schedule for the visitors right now as you see this play turned aside.
Yeah, a little bit misdirection there. Yeah, the North Henderson was 42-37. You think about North Henderson, they almost beat Hendersonville last time out. Hendersonville, we had them on our show, and had a big win over West Henderson, so they're tough. Had a week off, so they're ready to go. Both
these teams with some setbacks, but with much to build on. Chesnee comes in with just the 1 loss, that overtime contest against Broome. This is across the 40 to the 45-yard line, up near midfield, and that beautiful Eagles logo as RS Central keeps driving toward the midfield area.
Yeah, just right up inside. That offensive line did a great job as Elijah Guzman, 5'8", 165 senior, had a nice hole up the middle. And if they're going to run the football, which they want to do to set some things up, man, you get 6 yards or so, and you're playing in front of the chains to a certain extent.
You look at the colors of the Eagles, and not quite the same, but Jim Ryan's looking at more familiar colors on the other side in terms of those Arizona State connections we talked about a little earlier, at least from a helmet standpoint for Chesnee. Another third down, and the Eagles try to push this to the outside, but Holly's going to have enough room to turn the corner and pass the sticks, move the chains. Another pocket change laundry first down for the visitors.
Man, that is a nice play. I think it's broken play all the way because it's not there. They went the wrong way, and he's got to make an individual move there, and his speed and strength was able to get him to the sideline and tumble down for the first down.
So it's on the 49-yard line. If you're just finding us, first drive of the contest for the Hilltoppers of RS Central. They crossed the state line. Only about a half hour between these 2 schools and their communities, so there will be discussion following this one and bragging rights of the state line variety on the line in this one. That's tossed to Smith. He has some room in the interior and is into Chesnee territory on this opening drive at the 47-yard line.
I mean, that's the one thing we talked about with Smith. 23 carries, 183 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8 yards per carry, but 9 catches for 110 and a touch as well.
Well, remember, he's a guy that was moved into the backfield after being on the perimeter a year ago. You talked about some of the adjustments they've made in order to utilize his skills in this option offense. So look for him to be one of those, we'll say it a number of times tonight, Swiss Army knife type guys that you'll see in a variety of roles. Inside 8 minutes to go opening period on the opening drive for RS Central. And keeping it himself, Holly again, and he's inside the 45 to the 44-yard line. Another third down. They've been really good on these third downs so far on the drive.
I'll tell you what, I think I was with the defense there. I had the other guy having the football. He has nice ability to handle the football and got him out of the perimeter. Yeah, here comes another big one. You know, we got to keep the drive going. Control the tempo. Both teams want to be able to do that.
You were following Guzman with your eyes. I saw you there. Here comes the third down and 3. Going to need the 41-yard line to move the chains. Just inside Chesnee territory. Ball's on the turf. Everybody scrambling for it. What a game-changing moment this would be early when RS Central is marching, but somehow the Hilltoppers come out on top. And once they land on the football, it's another pocket change laundry first down. This was touch and go, Tom.
Yeah, look at that right inside. That ball is knocked out of there, and you know, you never know if the oblong ball, maybe the country club hop there. But you can see it from, oh, you just lost it. Great camera work there to get it. Everybody diving forward, went right past, had an opportunity.
Boy, you saw the guy who made the first stop of the day in many ways, Zach Henderson, with big eyes there. The junior saw the football available but could not get to it in time. First down play, and it's a screen set up near side. There's Elmer Littlejohn. Elmer Littlejohn was the quarterback a year ago, and they simply said about him, he does it all. They double teamed him in that North Henderson game, Tom, so his touches were limited, but they'll try to get it to him regularly tonight.
Well, yeah, they really want to do that. 5'11", 170 senior. How about 9 carries, 24 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's got 3 receptions as well. Hey, you know what? He's thrown a pass this year, too.
And you know what Jim Ryan told us? He's going to be the focus. We'll see what the other team decides to do with him each week, and then we'll adjust accordingly. That big a part of what this team tries to do. Elmer Littlejohn wearing jersey number 2. Closing in on 6 minutes in the opening period. A little keep away being played by the Hilltoppers. Speaking of Littlejohn, here he is with it again, and he finds a little bit of space initially, and then another gear all the way down to the doorstep of the First Bank red zone. He is at the 21-yard line after this pocket change laundry first down carry.
Tell you what, you've got to be disciplined on defense. Eventually, outside linebacker Marquez Franklin, the sophomore, makes the tackle, but we've seen up inside. We've seen him run the option laterally and then throw it out on the edge. Short passes that have been successful, so really difficult to defend.
I'm not always that solid at keeping up with the time of a drive, but when it starts the quarter, you got a pretty good idea how long this one has taken. We're inside 6 minutes now to go in the first period.
Wait a minute, we got to do math. 12 minus 5:34, 3.
And see, the sportscasting world was so appealing because they told me there'd be none of that. Here's a handoff again, and trying to work his way into the interior is Swepson there. That's Aiden Swepson, latest of the names we call. So many different weapons in an option style attack.
Well, there are. You know what? Didn't we just do a game? There were only 7 possessions in the first half, and then the second half took 2.5 hours. So you never know what you're going to see, but what an impressive drive.
Fans at home don't know if they like what you're thinking or not. The one thing we want is this one come down to the final snap, whoever ends up on top. They are solidly now in the First Bank red zone at the 16-yard line with inside 5 minutes to go in the opening quarter. And here's another dose of Smith, and he's inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. Boy, what an impressive drive this has been. You had the one hiccup where the ball was fumbled, but they recovered that, and RS Central has been incredibly methodical to start the ball game.
Yeah, I mean, tell you, this is the way they want to play. Both teams want to control the football, and they have done a magnificent job so far. And they need to finish this off. We talked about finishing off games, the close ones from McDowell and North Henderson, but they need to finish off this drive to begin things.
Hey, here's another third down facing the Hilltoppers. They have been successful on each of them thus far. And timeout's going to be called for with 4:08 to play. The fans in South Carolina got to be wondering, is Chesnee ever going to touch the football? It has been RS Central with it. The fans in North Carolina want to know, can they cap this drive with points? You'll find out on the other side of the break. Carolina Furniture Concepts is a presenting sponsor of Friday Night Rivals. They have over $5 million of furniture in stock and ready to be delivered to you. Visit their Arden and Waynesville showrooms or go online at carolinafurnitureconcepts.com. Eagles may be rethinking that decision after winning the coin toss. Here comes the 14th play of the opening drive in this football game. RS Central having marched down into the First Bank red zone, and they face a third down. They're going to call it a long 2 from just outside the 10-yard line. Here's the pitch. Nowhere to evade the tackler. In there, right where he needed to be, Tom Van Hoy, is Franklin on the spot.
Yeah, one of the outside linebackers. They decided to run a little option. Boy, great job there defensively up front to begin with before the Zach Anderson again. That's a huge play on third down.
And Marquez Franklin, 10th grader there, involved in helping get the job done. So here's the initial 4th down play. They converted on their first 3 third down tries, turning them into pocket change laundry first downs. And now are faced with will something come out of this drive, which has taken the first quarter game clock all the way down to inside 3.5 minutes. They'll opt to kick it. This is going to be about a 32-yard try, and it is no good. For all that, RS Central is turned aside without points on a field goal try that is just shy of the crossbar, and 3:14 left in the first period. We're about to see Chesnee with the football for the very first time.
Jason, I used to do a lot of games with a guy that was a former college defensive coordinator, and he told me one time, he goes, it doesn't count until they cross the double stripes. So they ran 14, 15 plays there, got it done, didn't score. Nice job.
15 plays, all that time off the game clock, and how deflating that must be for RS Central, but a lift for Chesnee. He's been waiting a while to get out there. Evan Reese-Lauder, the talented QB of the Eagles, will hand this off. It goes over the right side. The initial touch of the football for the Eagles belonging to Kel Thrift. There's a look at the vitals on the talented QB who factored heavily in this game a year ago. He's now in his junior campaign, and he's one of the explosive playmakers they love watching here at Chesnee.
Yeah, he has gotten off to a great start. I mean, running the football, his forte, but that sets up things as well for him to be successful throwing the football too.
The word his head coach, Brett Chappell, used is dynamic, and those who saw this game a year ago, very aware. Tosses this out near side. There's Braylon Blanton, guy who already has 4 receiving touchdowns on the year and was a 2A All-State wide receiver a year ago. Is the first to have it sent his direction through the air. He's brought to a halt by Isaiah Smith in that secondary for RS Central. Two and a half minutes just outside of that remaining in the opening period. Chesnee trying to dig out of its own territory on the opening drive for the Eagles. Tom, very likely they're going to touch the football one time in this first half. So this offense has its work cut out for it. Here's the surrounding cast to Evan Reese-Lauder.
You heard Kel Thrift, senior running back. You heard Braylon Blanton, the All-State performer at wide receiver. Connor Led, for 2-year starter, handles the offensive line of the calls up front.
This is a team that known for the physical nature of their play, as well as the love their head coach Brett Chappell has for running the football and allowing everything to be built off of that. Tells you, particularly when we saw what we saw from RS Central, that this one may pass us quickly tonight. What a battle it should prove to be. Going to be Lauder to his left, and he runs into a host of white jerseys after picking up a couple of yards. The first third down for Chesnee is going to be from some distance. Here's the group trying to get them off the field, the RS Central D.
Yeah, chasing from the backside, Mikael Jennings, 6'2", 245 senior. Inside linebacker, the scholar athlete, is Jacob Hutchkins, all-conference performer. You get into the secondary, and it's a very familiar name there, Elmer Littlejohn. He kind of anchors that backside as well.
That's what Coach Jim Ryan told us. He said, I came from a huge school in the outskirts of Chicago, and this whole Ironman thing, I had to practice differently. We've had to prepare our guys, keep them fresh toward the end of the game. Has a ton of respect for those guys on his team going both ways. It's going to be across the right side and up near the 38-yard lines where he's going to be down. Fourth down coming for Evan Reese-Lauder and company. And the stop made by Jordan Hulsey as he works his way to the far side. Chesnee's kicking unit comes on inside the final minute of the opening period. And both teams have touched the football how many times, Tom Van Hoy?
One time.
Just once. Back to punt is Bryce Horton, the 10th grader. Puts a foot into it there. Going to take a bounce back eventually into the hands of Colin Scruggs. And that's where RS Central will take over on the other side. They'll have it at the 34-yard line. So RS Central, everything but the ending they loved on that last drive, Tom.
Yeah, you're 15 plays and unable to get anything out of it, and a really good defensive play. And you go back to defending the option. How do you do?
Everything but the ending they loved when these two teams met a year ago as well.
Yes.
Came down to a 4th down and 7 with about a half minute to go. And Brett Chappell and company snatched the victory away. We'll tell you that story, embellish it just a little bit, but it went right down to the last snap last season. We expect nothing less than that, particularly if they're going to have this few opportunities and touches in this game, as we're at the 22nd mark in the first quarter here. Heavy pursuit, just trying to get rid of it towards somebody that time. Holly avoids the sack, but only by a smidge.
Well, you got the pressure was coming off the edge there, and that's the one thing you've already seen for 13, 14 plays. So decided to switch it up a little bit, and Taven Massaro on the pressure there and had to get rid of it. Did a good job actually to get it out near a receiver, so it wasn't intentional ground.
Boy, he had everything but the sack right there. Here comes the 2nd down play from inside the 35. 13 seconds remaining in the opening period. Screen again. Smith again. And he's up near 1st down yardage. They're going to stop the clock because he is very close to the chains. May have enough for a pocket change laundry 1st down. It will be the final one of this first half. Pocket change laundry, sponsors of each of our 1st downs in the 1st and 3rd quarters. And for the way they handle business, the excellence with which they pursue their craft, you want to check them out. Pocket change laundry, sponsors of all of our 1st downs in the 1st and 3rd quarters tonight. And that 1st down of the pocket change laundry variety brings us to the end of the 1st quarter. No score on the board. One crack at it apiece, in essence, as we put one period in the books. Don't let game night dinner get you stressed. Stop by Ingles for great choices from the Ingles Deli, rotisserie chicken, freshly made salads, and a delicious hot bar and sub bar. Dinner and a snap, then it's off to the game. Ingles, low prices, love the savings. The 2024 edition of this border battle that all generations continue to talk about long after it's over went the way of Chesnee in the closing moments. Chesnee on a 4th down and 7, as we referenced, with a half-minute to play in the football game. Trying for the first down on the ground. They put in K.J. Proctor, trying to utilize all his size. You may remember him, Chesnee fans, from a year ago. He did more than get the first down. He turned it into a touchdown, Tom. And the story behind that is they were going to kick the field goal, try and tie the game. Coach Chappell said, I had already determined we were going to kick the field goal. He said, ended up in a timeout scenario, and I called the kids over. They wanted to win the football game. So they decided to go for it. Go for it they did. It ended up being a victory for Chesnee in the contest. And, you know, he talked about, that's the guy on the other side, obviously. He talked about how a couple of those play calls still stick in his mind from that chess match the two had a year ago. And this is their second meeting in their second seasons. But how as this long shot is turned aside, and second down coming. Wanted a flag there, but nothing coming. RS Central trying to plead for that with the officiating crew. Haven't introduced you to the officiating crew yet tonight. Norman Hall, the referee, and Reagan, the umpire. Sam Reinhardt is the linesman. William Stockdale is the line judge, and Eric Meinke is the back judge. Here's another look at it, and you can see why some on the far side.
Yeah.
Wanted a little help there.
Got away with that one.
But, Tom, second year between these two, you talk about the way things ended there a year ago, and Coach Chappell was clear. He loved the fight of his kids to come over and say, we want to win the football game.
Yeah, we want to take, Coach, let's go for it, because he was going to kick the field goal and get it into overtime.
Third down here. That pitch may be forward. We'll see. The flag comes in just as he tosses it from the glance that we had at it. This is going to be something procedural against RS Central that is going to bring that attempt back, and another third down's coming. But Tom, it gives us a chance while they sort this flag out to go back to that. You know, that's a defining moment for a young program under a first-year head coach.
Yeah, trying to set the culture and, you know, get the community involved, and guys, this is what we want to do. You get another look at it here out on the edge. But yeah, you're right, Jason. And what was interesting, too, in your conversation, too, with Jim Ryan about that, he'd been an offensive coach most of his career in Illinois and some other places like that. But he was on the defensive side and trying to make those calls, and so learning himself as well as they decide what they want to do here.
Well, a reminder coming up, maybe quicker than you think, the Chevrolet halftime show, the Asheville Chevy halftime show, one of the staples on Friday Night Rivals. You'll learn more about both of these outstanding schools and programs, all that a part of the Asheville Chevy show. Coming up at the half, stats, highlights, so much more. The Asheville Chevy show at the half. I got a notion a lot of these folks in Chesnee and those who made the trip over from RS Central land, they got the DVRs working tonight. They're going to be watching this one when they get back home. And those who do, thanks for coming out and supporting high school football tonight and allowing us to journey through it with you on Bojangles Friday Night Rivals. For those of you, other responsibilities tonight elsewhere, maybe you're going to catch your game later or getting back from it at some point before the night is done. Rewinding this one to the front to see what happens. Thanks for joining us as well. We date ourselves with terminology like that, but we're glad you're with us, whatever device you use in order to watch these Friday night football games on WLOS and WMYA, brought to you by our friends at Bojangles and so many other of our faithful sponsors. Third down, behind the sticks, and having to do something fairly unusual, and that's take a deep shot. It nearly paid dividends. Swepson was in the neighborhood, but just a little too much air underneath it.
Yeah, you got to third down and long after that penalty set him back, and not really what they want to do. Had him open, just missed him back there in the secondary. So a much better defensive stand the second time through as we get into this one.
All right, we'll introduce you a little further to these two head coaches. Jim Ryan, an Illinois guy. We talked about it from outside of Chicago. He brought with him the Arizona State mantra. There's a look at the other guy on the other side. We'll tell you about him in a little bit as well. But Coach Ryan, just a tremendous story in terms of locating his family in Western North Carolina to take care of this Hilltoppers program, bringing with him the mantra one at a time that he borrowed from those Arizona State days. You know, he was at Arizona State around that program in the 90s, Tom, when they were in the Rose Bowl and doing some major things football-wise. This may be a major return on the other side, up across the 30 to the 32. That's where Chesnee will have it. We'll reacquaint you with Brett Chappell, the head man here in the land of the Eagles, on the other side of the break.
Have questions about childhood vaccines? Get real answers. Start a conversation with your child's doctor today. Visit vaccinesforkids.nc.gov.
He grew up on Highway 11. You got to remember, Brett Chappell was a Rosman kid. In fact, he set the Western North Carolina rushing record when he was at Rosman. Went on to play at Western Carolina University. Even signed a professional contract with the San Diego Chargers. Quite a player in his own right, and you'll remember him from his time both in Flat Rock at East Henderson and certainly across most of the past decade or so at Pisgah. What a play call he and his group put together here. They turn to Blake Cochran, and it pays dividends. Down the near side across midfield, and Chesnee, under the direction of Brett Chappell, in business for the first time.
All right, so Cochran gets it. He's another sophomore with great power. How about 20 carries, 210 yards, 10.5 yards per carry? That's probably one of the reasons right there in his first couple of ball games that he's doing that. Great job.
Yeah, you think about the explosive nature. They talk about the H-back and his size. And the other word was his explosiveness. You saw that second piece of it right there. It's a first down at the 42-yard line. 10:28 to go. Chesnee's got to feel like the turn into the page to the new corner changes everything. Has so far, and here's a shot down the near side. Blanton has it inside the 10-yard line. What a job to create separation by Braylon Blanton.
Yeah, he high points it, and man, pretty good coverage there by Isaiah Smith, but put it up there, let your all-state performer go get it. 11 catches, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns, 17 per coming in, and a big one here.
37 yards on the connection as Evan Reese-Lauder connects with Braylon Blanton, and it's a first bank red zone opportunity. That's as good as it gets at any level.
That's a really good catch there. I mean, good defensive positioning as well. They let him play through contact.
Did we mention he's a 2A All-State player from a year ago? Here is Lauder looking for real estate. He'll find it, and it's pay dirt real estate into the end zone with a foundation solution touchdown. It will serve as the foundation for Chesnee's attack tonight. They turned the page from a first quarter that saw them rarely touch the football and have the first lead that goes up on the scoreboard tonight.
Big run, big pass. I mean, set that up, and he's able to power it up inside. I mean, they can a little bit more varied in terms of the throwing the football there. Nicely done.
Foundation solution touchdown for Chesnee. A couple of substitutions here before the extra point try. We appreciate our sponsors at Foundation Solution. Every touchdown tonight sponsored by Foundation Solution. The extra point is going to sneak on through there. Maybe not the prettiest one you've ever seen, but it works out, as did this drive. Quick strike for Evan Reese-Lauder and company. 7-0 Chesnee. Well, they are smiling on both sides tonight that this rivalry is renewed. And here's a look at our Caroline Albee Orthodontics Smile Cam coming your way on Friday Night Rivals across the course of the 2025 football season. All of our Smile Cams presented by Caroline Albee Orthodontics.
You know, Jason, you're talking about Brett Chapwick, been at East Henderson, 67-35, 11 years at Pisgah, 94-39, great success there. So he has that experience of what type of ball is being played in North Carolina. So you get that really interesting mix, South Carolina, North Carolina, and it can be a little bit different depending on who you're playing sometimes philosophically on offense, particularly.
Talked about the defensive battles and how they love the 10-8 final and the 14-10 final. And here it's about scoring as many points as you possibly can. His Chesnee team has. The return is up near midfield, and RS Central is going to be in a good spot for a response on the return of Smith of 33 yards. You know, Tom, the real smiles right now on the Chesnee side of things because of that quick strike drive. Consider just 30 seconds were needed and only a handful of plays. If you're looking for the vitals, 3 plays, 68 yards, 30 seconds, and the 5-yard touchdown run from Lauder. Everything Chesnee could have wanted out of that last drive.
It is, and Chesnee can do what RS Central did, control the football and the tempo and so forth, but they also have that ability to go deep and set some things up which they didn't able to score quickly.
There's Coach Holly. Brought his coaching staff together. Some of them we met from the state of Kentucky. He talked about the rushing background and the option background of so many of his coaches and how his staff comes together. Some local products he's been able to incorporate into it, but guys with successful backgrounds in this style of offense, and you can see that they haven't quite found the end zone just yet in this one, how it has paid off. Haven't quite found the win column yet on the season, but they've been right there in the 2 prior games.
Yeah, they just didn't finish. That was one of our keys, and he talked about it. And when we did the pregame show, it's the little things that were the difference in those 2 ball games. You just need to clean up a few things.
I believe they can compete for the conference title this year. Obviously, High Brighton's in that conference, right? That always makes it interesting. And, you know, not only High Brighton, but you think about the other challenges that will be there. But he said beyond that, you know, we look forward to throwing our hat in the ring and seeing what happens. I like the way he said that. He said, you know, our region, you got so many different things you have to take a look at, but we look forward to throwing our hat in the ring and seeing what happens.
Yeah, the object of the exercise, be competitive, want to play for championships. He said East Rutherford also one of those.
Yes.
And again, you know, we did Hendersonville, and they got their county clash up there, and we're talking about East Rutherford, Chase, and RS Central in their particular county as well.
Yeah, makes it interesting. But he loves the realignment that North Carolina has just gone through because he said it helps on the travel side, and they believe they're going to be competitive in their respective conference. Here's a 3rd down. 3 of 5. That tells you about the last 2 because they were good on their first 3. Returning to that form is Smith, and he's well into Chesnee territory inside the 30-yard line. So after making those initial 3 third downs work out, here's another key 3rd down conversion.
Tell you what, number 1 for Chesnee, Braylon Latin having a good one. Number 1, Jacob Smith as well.
What do they say, Tom? Number 1 in your program?
Yes.
Number 1 in your hearts. That's living to fruition tonight.
I tell you, that's a big 3rd down conversion. I mean, it was a 3rd and 1, but we saw what would happen 3rd and short, and on the option, he didn't get it. They went back up inside. Big gain there.
Set up nicely now inside the 30. That's a great point. Little fake, under pressure, does dump it off, but not even Jaquez Smith is going to be able to work his way out of this. Too many of those black jerseys in the backfield as Chesnee will snuff this out.
Tell you get a good look at it here. I mean, really lucky just to get the ball, and you never can. Look at that backside pursuit there by Kai Copeland, and he's able to make that play there. Big guy able to run him down because if he gets in the open field, that's a heck of a job just to even get the ball. It was knocked, I think, kind of knocked out of there and pushed forward.
Kai Copeland, one of the senior leaders, and that's a momentum play for Chesnee. RS Central trying to build upon that huge play on 3rd down, and now they find themselves well behind the sticks. Interior. right between the hashes and eventually forced toward the left side is Guzman. There's Elijah Guzman again, and he gets most of what they lost and then some back. All of, I should say, what they lost and then some back as he sets up a 3rd down and about 9.
You know, and one of the conversations that we had with Brett Chappell, too, Jason, this week was talking about how big that offensive line is for RS Central. I mean, big guys led by Nathan Metcalf at 295, the left guard. And he said they're going to have to try to do some things differently defensively to try to get in there and make some tackles.
They pass the eye test, don't they? Really big up front, and it's one of the strengths of this team, particularly when they're trying to run the football. Here's a 3rd down play. This is going to be a little toss in the middle of things. You'll never know, had he not lost his footing, what the end of that play was going to be, but it's going to come up short.
Well, watch this catch, I think, to begin with. Yeah, man, beautifully done that time. That's a nice play, and the catch made by Jacob Hudkin. We see him as a linebacker as well, a scholar athlete for the ball club.
Officials talking this one over.
Yeah. That's a great catch. Put that left hand up, and I hope folks our pregame show, full 30-minute pregame show, and the interviews that Nelson has with his scholar athletes, and you can tell they're outstanding young individuals.
Another reason to stick around for the Asheville Chevy show at the half, which is coming up before long. Pregame show, as you said it, the Hunter Hyundai pregame show, giving you a window into that. You'll learn a lot more about both of these schools with the Asheville Chevy show at the half, which is now 6+ away. That was an ineligible downfield. That can happen when things get a little awry at the start of a play, and so it backs RS Central up behind the original line of scrimmage again. They're looking for the 19-yard line inside the First Bank red zone to move the chains on this 3rd down play. 3rd and 16. Over the middle, caught. How about Littlejohn into the end zone? All Elmer Littlejohn. Why does so much of this offense center around his ability? Because as RS Central's staff said, he does it all.
Man, gave him time, but I mean, look at that. In between a couple of defenders there, goes up and he catches it and takes it in, knows what to do after he makes that catch. Nicely done.
Elmer Littlejohn with the touchdown reception, and pending the extra point, things will be all knotted up. Left-footed effort to punch it up and through, and with the kick good, everything together at 7 apiece. James Iacovelli punches it through, and the work of Elmer Littlejohn gives us a brand new ball game. Well, if you know anything about RS Central, you know jersey number 2. He's either going to be focused on, snuffed out, double teamed. Sometimes that doesn't even matter. Look at the play he makes in the heart of this Chesnee defense to even the score between the Hilltoppers and the Eagles.
Other part about that is Ryan Holley, the sophomore quarterback, had plenty of time to throw the football. And for Littlejohn, he came in 3 for 45. Got a touchdown there. Good drive.
7 plays, 56 yards, 4:44 off the game clock. Very different drive, and it ends in the 33-yard reception by Littlejohn to make it 7 apiece. Well, shades of yesteryear. A game that went right down to the wire in 2024. Giving us designs on doing that once again as you have the football ready to come right into your living room. Or your vehicle, not if you're driving, of course. Or your school dorm room. or wherever you're watching this fine Bojangles Friday Night Rivals contest. Holly, 45 yards in his work through the skies, helping set the tone. This is a lot more than that on the return, but there is a flag at the start of things. Braylon Blanton doesn't mind. He's going to take it in just in case. 92 yards on the return. We'll see if it stands.
So dangerous. And
there's the laundry that everybody on the near side holds their breath on. It is going to be against Chesnee, so you can take it off the board. Still saw his ability there, Tom.
I'll tell you what, and we talked with Jim Ryan of RS Central, and this happened to be Chesnee, but if he can revert back to defensively, special teams are big, as always, a big process, but it's something that they really emphasize. And in this particular case for Chesnee, they've got some dangerous guys. Same thing on the other side. So in the long run, as this game goes on, that could be a big point in the game.
Braylon Blanton already making some plays in this contest. Thought he had another there, but the flag negates the return, and Chesnee's going to be backed up deep in their own territory. All right, based on what you've seen and the few possessions these teams have enjoyed, walk us through what Chesnee's thinking here.
Well, I think Chesnee, okay, they kind of survived that first 15-play drive and missed a short field goal there. Then they really come back, get that lead, kind of settled back in. I think they a little bit from the defensive standpoint as well, but offensively they've been able to run it, and they've also been able to throw it successfully as well.
Coming near side and out of bounds at the 34-yard line. You're going to have to go to the Bantam Chef when this one's over, maybe tomorrow, break this one down. It's going to require some deep thinking when you consider the swings of momentum we've already had in this contest here in Chesnee, South Carolina. Happy to have you with us. First visit to this location as we continue our journeys around North Carolina, South Carolina. And what a joy it is to have you with us on Friday Night Rivals as we make the turn from one week to the next. Polk next week. North Carolina side of the line. Back down here in South Carolina. Spartan High.
It's down the road.
The week follows. Yeah. Tonight we're in the northern part of Spartanburg County, the little community tucked inside the state line known as Chesnee. You know, Brett Chappell had so many wonderful things to say about Chesnee as a community, how they've embraced his family. Of course, his son Bryson here, one of the tremendous wrestlers on a wrestling team that won a state championship 2 short years ago, was top 5 in the state in wrestling as one of the premier wrestling programs here as well, Tom.
Yeah, he had great success. We talked about it. East Henderson and also at Pisgah as well, but he found a nice fit over here, and his son is a fine wrestler as well.
Coach John Rentz, an overall coaching record of right at 300 wins in his career, leading that wrestling program. It travels everywhere and wrestles, one of the best in the state. He was the 2025 SCACA State Wrestling Coach of the Year. And again, that was a good fit for Coach Chappell and his family when you consider that Bryson's a big part of that. He, Lori, Bryson, all here. He said it's a family affair, and boy, have they enjoyed their time in Chesnee. That's very close on that far sideline, but covered about as well as you can.
Yeah, did a good job up there on the sideline there, and tell you, there are big play possibilities on both sides, and we've seen offensive players make really good plays with defensive players in good position to maybe make a play themselves.
So here's 3rd down, and trying to come away with a stop is RS Central in this moment, as Chesnee is up across the 35 at the 36-yard line. And the stop looks to be made. That's near 1st down yardage. Let's see where they end up spotting this. He's up to the 43-yard line. And this is going to be put down just short, it seems, from a glance across the field of the 1st down. So there, we'll see what Chesnee decides to do at the 4:41 mark. For RS Central is at least the 3rd down stop they were hoping for.
Well, it was Elmer Littlejohn again, but I tell you, and we talked about Evan Reese Lauder and what he brings to the table as the quarterback, his ability to run the football. So you get 3rd down short, probably going to keep the ball in his hands, which he did there. And Littlejohn a little bit shy. Here we go.
4th down. Chesnee out on the field to go for it. And timeout's going to be called for. Will break away. When we come back, we will see if RS Central can make the stop. 4th down, his team looking for a stop. Chesnee setting up for 4th and 1. With 4:20 to go in the opening half of action.
And Jason, they're 4 out of 10 on 4th down this year.
This one coming from the 43-yard line. Lauder, handoff, plenty. Over the left side, the big boys make some room and protecting the football as he goes. Blake Cochran has the 1st down.
Yeah, a little bit of motion there and get him out on the edge. And all you need is kind of a brush block type situation there. You just need that 1 yard and able to pick it up. Scramble a little bit there. And you're talking about 40% on 4th down. They've been 67% on 3rd down. They've been very good in both those categories, and that's probably one of the reasons they averaged 34 and 309 yards rushing.
1st down play for Chesnee. First touchdown of the night belonged to the Eagles. RS Central answered all the scoring coming in the 2nd period. Lauder makes one man miss. Still elusive as he gets down near the 40-yard line on the RS Central side of the field. Stop made there.
Yeah, you take a look at it. I mean, it's not like you 150 miles an hour kind of sets it up, dip in, dip out. And the best thing about that, out of the edge, Braylon Blanton is a wide receiver. Sometimes you get called for hold out there. He just kind of got in the way and did a nice job. Provide opportunity for a pretty good game.
We haven't talked a lot about it, but you talk about the guys up front and the space they make. So great to see. Familiar faces back in that lineup for Chesnee tonight. They make some space right here. We'll talk about that as we get a little deeper into this one. But a flag comes in as it goes into the hands of Blanton, who you were just describing, Tom. And this looked to be in an area that's going to be less than kind to Chesnee.
Well, he's definitely dangerous when he gets that ball. We saw him with big catch. We saw that there. We saw the kickoff return that was called back as well. And I mean, you're talking about a Chesnee team, 309 rush, 95 pass, mostly rush.
Well, that'll stop the momentum momentarily for Chesnee. And we remind you that we will have our school bus stop of the game prior to the end of tonight's contest. During the 4th quarter, we'll be highlighting the school bus stop of the game. The law in every state requires drivers to always stop for a school bus when the stop arm is out and the red lights are flashing. Stay tuned for our school bus stop of the game. Can RS Central stop this drive for Chesnee? Just on the Hilltopper side of the 50, and there's plenty of room. What a seam he found right there as the QB takes it up near the marker. A key 3rd down coming.
And we're talking about came in 64 for 403, 8 touchdowns in 3 games and averaging 6.3 per carry, 134 yards per game rush by the quarterback. So you've definitely got to pay attention to him. And we say, you know, they don't throw all that much, but when they do, and they go to Blanton, who's got 11 for 192, 2 touchdowns, 17 per coming in, that's pretty effective.
Yeah, when your QB averages right at 200 rushing and up over 100 passing, you like what happens when the junior crawls into the backfield and takes the snap. Goes deep again. Speaking of that combo, he was trying for Blanton, but this is picked off. Hezekiah Joyner, and he's going to bring it out of the end zone and finally be rushed out of bounds up across the 25-yard line. Hezekiah Joyner with the takeaway. That's how RS Central snuffs out this drive.
Well, a little bit disjointed with some penalties, but boy, he had really good inside position, and he's got one-on-one with Blanton. That's a heck of a. And the one thing about it is he decided to bring it out. He needs to get out. And Blanton's a guy that plays defense as well, but he did a good job. And you know what? He did a nice job. Step out of bounds and, you know, and get out and give yourself an opportunity there with 2:11 to go in the first.
I'm with you. You better make it out near that quarter-century mark if you're going to decide
yes.
that you're going to make a go of it. Boy, did that young man do so. Tremendous moment for he and the Hilltoppers. 2:11 on the game clock, first half-wise. Hilltoppers go to work. First pass incomplete. Hilltoppers thus far in the contest having accumulated 133 yards of total offense to Chesnee's 140. You want to talk about an evenly matched football game? 7 yards separating these two teams right now. And the rushing yards at 81 on the Chesnee side, 88 on the RS Central side. 7 on the board for both teams, 7 yards separating them in terms of production.
I mean, Chesnee's taking some shots down the field, and you get that coverage you want there. And same thing, throwing a little bit down the field for RS Central as well.
Boy, heavy collision as it was in the hands and grasp of Elijah Guzman, and he was met with some more force that time as he ran into Benji Lazarin. Inside a minute 45. RS Central had the football first. If you joined us after the beginning stages of this one, ate up the entire first quarter, it seemed. 15-play drive to start it, missed the field goal to cap the drive. Chesnee scored in the early stages of the second quarter. A touchdown on the board for the Hilltoppers in this quarter as well. We sit at 7 apiece. And a third down play coming. Hilltoppers are 4 of 7 on third downs in this first half, and that's disrupted, turned aside, nearly picked off, but it falls harmlessly to the turf in the end on the good work of Cale Thrift, who gets in there. We've called his name on both sides of the football.
I tell you, probably like it wasn't intercepted there. Decided to throw the football with the incomplete pass. It stops the clock at 1:11. Give an opportunity, and the ever dangerous Blanton back.
1:11 to go. Hilltoppers to kick it away, and you know they have that, and not necessarily in this moment, Tom, but tuck it away in the back of your mind for future reference. They have that unique scenario where Rylan Holly handles the punting responsibilities as well, which gives you options in certain scenarios where the defense may be trying to read your mind. His punt here gets across midfield and will be blown dead at the 43 or 44 yard line. 29-yard punt. The proud sponsor of WLOS Friday Night Football. It's not just football season, it's tailgate season. Head to Bojangles and order the tailgate box today. It's not a tailgate without Bojangles. It's bow time. Fans having been entertained in this border battle between RS Central's Hilltoppers come across the state line, and the Chesnee Eagles, our homestanding squad tonight, with 61 seconds remaining in the opening half. Timeout's going to be called for here. And both teams with a couple of those left in their back pocket at this juncture. Tom, your impressions of what we've seen in this first half between these two border rivals?
It's been kind of a roller coaster of emotions. The 15-play drive to begin, field goal was not good, and then the ability for Chesnee to come down, put together a short drive. I mean, long drive, 3 plays, 68 yards in about 3 minutes or so. And big running play, big pass play as well, and then kind of settled in a little bit. Then the ability to throw the ball over the middle and get it done on a touchdown pass to Elmer Littlejohn. So I think you've seen some of the playmakers on both teams.
With us, laundry is not just a chore, but an experience in excellence. We take immense pride in being the premier laundry service in the region. We're redefining the standard of laundry care, combining cutting-edge technology, unparalleled customer service, and a commitment to quality that has earned us a reputation as being the best in Western North Carolina. Pocket Change Laundry. Check us out today. Back to action here, and quickly a toss far side. That's going to be good enough for a first down. How about this pass and catch? May not be the tallest guy on the field, but he plays with a great deal of heart. 22, Ben Hefner takes it to the far side. He moves the chains.
Yeah, got out of bounds. Good play call there. You still got 55.6 left. Plenty of time.
Inside a minute for Coach Chappell and company, and here is Lauder. He's going to get loose again. Good for about 8, second down coming. You know, he was talking about this game last year as Brett Chappell gets ready to call another timeout here. And he said, you know, we had the ball at the end of the game, and, you know, everybody wanted to know, do we go into our 2-minute drill? He said, we really didn't do that. We just kind of leisurely made our way down the field. Of course, we told you the story in the first half where his kids came over when they were getting ready to kick a field goal to tie it and said, no, coach, let's try to win the thing. But that drive mindful of what they're trying to do here at the end of the first half in order to carry the lead into the locker room.
They've got experience in that as well, and I think you go back to the 3rd and 4 and the pass play there, the incomplete stop the clock, gave you a little bit of an opportunity here for maybe a few more plays.
You know what I love about hanging out with these college coaches, high school coaches, coaches of all levels. You and I get to visit with them, and you learn so much from them. Brett Chappell reminded us of what it's really about this week in our conference call with him when the Chesnee head coach told us his mantra, his communication to his football team is, how will you be remembered? You know, he was under the direction for a long time of Coach Renaud, and you know the story, many of you in the Carolinas, about how he was taken from the game and from life early due to a heart attack. And he said, you know, his memorial service and going to it and seeing all the players coming out wearing their colors and how much of an impact he made on their life, he said that became the kind of man I want to be and the kind of men I want to develop in these football programs. So whether he's been in Western North Carolina or now here at Chesnee, his mantra has been, how will you be remembered? It was a good reminder for us, Tom, of what really matters in life.
And I'm telling you, these coaches and you and I are very fortunate over the years to be able to broadcast and meet so many people, and what an impact they have on these young men's lives at this time of their life.
Absolutely. Two very impressive ones here, duking it out. Doing pretty well with the gridiron piece of it as well in a 7-7 game. And here's Lauder, one of those young men Coach Chappell is so high on, trying to find open space. There won't be enough to move the chains. He's going to face a 3rd down and about 4 inside a half minute remaining in the football game, first half. Deep shot, and that's going to be out of the reach of everybody on that far side. Here comes 4th down with 16 seconds on the game clock in the first half.
It's one of those situations you're trying to run a less than a 2-minute drill to a certain extent, and probably don't have a whole lot of practice time, things like that, to maybe utilize that to the extent that you would like to. But you know what? You get another timeout here. You never know, and put it up, penalty, some other things.
Other thing you remember in talking about some of those things, we stand on the shoulders of so many. He talked about what a great job that the prior coaching staff did here, how they set the stage and the tone for what he was able to do. You know, how though these coaches will move from one place to the next, they so often leave these places much better than they found it. And that's great to hear when you think about what, you know, Coach Lewis did with this Chesnee program, leaving it on solid footing for the next guy to then build upon.
Well, I'll tell you what, I went back recently to MC an event back from Kansas, and was a longtime coach, 35 years and 25 at the local college, and exactly what he talked about there. 4,000 people came back, and they were all former players. They brought their kids. I mean, it was very emotional, so they make a tremendous impact on these young men.
How we live our lives, it matters. And not just what happens between the white lines, but so much more. 16 seconds between those white lines in this first half, and one timeout remains on the side of that RS Central group. They said, hey, we want to talk about this now that we've seen Chesnee's alignment. What did you spot there, Tom, as Chesnee lined up for what is a huge 4th down play?
Well, I think they've got to be careful of the one-on-one coverage. Probably won't be one-on-one coverage with Blanton because he's so good. So if you take him away, maybe you have some kind of a situation with somebody else you feel comfortable. They tried Horton a little while ago. So we'll see what they decide to do here. I mean, I think they'll take a shot. I mean, I don't think they're just going to turn around and hand the ball off, because they want to try to make something happen here in the final 16.3 seconds in the first half. It's really interesting. These two teams, North Carolina, South Carolina, got a Chesnee team that's 2A. You've got a RS Central team that's 4A in North Carolina, but they all have about 750 to 800 students. They're about the same size.
Got to remember, it's 8A at the top now.
Well, that's right.
North Carolina, right? 5A here in South Carolina. Got to keep all the classifications straight when you look at it. Important thing here, great football game. Rolling near side and looking for something downfield. He's got a man that's caught and out of bounds with 9 seconds roughly to play in the contest after making the catch. Look at this play, Tom.
Well, they bought time. It wasn't there. He wanted right side, and Jalen Bridges is coming across. He just kept running, which is what you're supposed to do, and he found him on the run. I mean, right-handed, rolling to his left and fired it across his body, but a nice catch, got out of bounds.
Boy, Lauder's an impressive kid, both when he decides to put it on the ground and send it through the sky. Is this going to be Blanton? He will need to get out of bounds here. Clock didn't quite start.
It didn't start.
So they're going to have to make an adjustment time-wise, you would think. Our officials, let's see if they, they're aware of it. Clock didn't start at the beginning, but it did end up running about 3 seconds off. So 5.8 is where it sits, ahead of a second down, which is less important right now than the time that's on the clock, because you've got time for just a couple of plays, depending upon what happens here.
Yeah, I mean, it was 8.9, and it was caught, and he ran around a little bit, so.
Ended up being 5.8.
Yeah.
Didn't start initially, but I think they ran it a little extra on the backside in order to try
to catch up,
to make up for it. At any rate, we sit at 5.8. Now, you know who else spotted that? Coach Jim Ryan has called the official over to say, let's take a look at where the clock should be. And as you know, there is no review in high school football, so they're going to have to get together, talk about it, and see as an officiating crew if there's anything they can determine should be and can be done in this scenario, Tom.
Yeah, it was 8.9, right?
Yep.
And then
you watch so much NFL football and you watch so much college football, you think, well, they're going to go to the tape and see where the clock stopped. What'll have to happen here, these guys will get together, they'll discuss it, and they'll do their best.
Yeah, under those circumstances, yeah. But you're right. I mean, it didn't start, but it also didn't stop when the play was over as well. So maybe it evens out.
I'm with you. Let it run a little longer just to make sure. 5.8 is where it sits. Chesnee. Lauder. He's got plenty of room on the far side. One man to juke. He does. Touchdown on this play. Ends up being of little consequence how much time it would have taken, because it's the next play with that much left that results in the rushing touchdown for Evan Reese Lauder, and Chesnee is back on top with the Foundation Solution TD.
Yeah, it wasn't there what he wanted, and then he saw a lane and an avenue that was open, and there wasn't anybody out there. Got past one of the defenders there and made a little juke inside there. Looked like might have a nice opportunity to make the tackle there, but the ability of the quarterback takes it in.
Second Foundation Solutions touchdown of the night for the Chesnee Eagles. And they're going to have something to enjoy at the half here at Chesnee High School, as that play brought the quarter, and the half for that matter, to a close. 7 plays, 56 yards on the prior drive for RS, after 3 plays, 68 yards on the first drive for Chesnee. And this one takes the balance of the quarter. 6 plays, 47 yards. And 6 more, trying to make it 7 more on the board. And the extra point, end over end, up and through. Handled beautifully, as was that final drive of the half for Chesnee, and the high-flying Eagles going to take a touchdown advantage into the locker room.
Yeah, just a really good job there to negotiate that final drive. The incomplete pass gave him 111 to work with to stop there than the kick, and did just enough in a variety of ways via the pass. And then anytime you've got a guy like Evan Reese Lauder and what he can provide with the wheels, and he was able to get to the outside and had a defender coming. I think it was Joyner that was there, and he was able to pump fake inside and just took it to the corner there and got inside the pylon for the touchdown.
Well, he's been busy to the tune of 14 tonight. Those push-ups putting Chesnee ahead by 7. And here is the head man at Chesnee, Brett Chappell, standing by with Nelson.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Concepts. Well, Coach, it was scoreless from both teams in the first quarter, but it went into the second quarter. You both seem to find your respective strides and get some momentum on your side as well. And now here we stand, you guys up by a touchdown at the half. Let's talk about your thoughts on the first half, Coach.
You know, first half was more about figuring each other out, figuring out what they were going to do to us, and same side for them as well. I think both coaching staff did a really good job making some adjustments during that first half, found some things that were helpful, made us successful. For us, we got to be a little bit more disciplined. Had 2 big plays called back. Obviously, that kickoff return for a touchdown. We got to clean things like that up and take advantage of opportunities. But the momentum was huge going into half because we get the ball to start the second half. So big gain for us right there at the end.
Yes, sir. So what's the message to the boys in the locker room?
Just keep going. Again, we just got to be disciplined as we go through it. Got to watch for anything crazy coming out of the half, any kind of onside kick, stuff like that, to try to get the momentum back. We really need a drive to start the second half. Kind of maybe get another score right here and see if we can stretch it out, and then let our defense go back to work.
All right, Coach. Good luck in the second half. Yes, sir. Tom, Jason, back to you guys.
We said his team may be rethinking that decision and not take the football in the beginning. They're not rethinking it now. Up a score, they will have the football in the third quarter. Much more for you to discover as part of the Asheville Chevy Show at the half. Coming up on the other side of the break.
Bojangles Friday Night Rivals Halftime, brought to you by Asheville Chevrolet.
Welcome back to Friday Night Rivals here on the Asheville Chevrolet Halftime Show. Well, folks, throughout the course of the FNR season, we rely upon an array of supporters, spectators, and, of course, proud sponsors to bring this all to full fruition. Tonight, we are joined by the longstanding and proud sponsors from Asheville Chevrolet, Bobby and Joey Roussel. The Roussel men, good to have y'all back.
Glad to be here, Nelson.
Glad to be back.
All right. Now, Bobby, you and I both know y'all been just said longstanding and proud sponsors for quite some time now. Why is it so important for y'all on a personal and professional level?
Just because we like to sponsor these student athletes out there when they might not ever get a chance to be on TV. They're going to get a chance to be on TV, and we did that for them, for the community.
Truly noble work. Now, Joey, what's happening on the lot right now at Asheville Chevy? What can we look forward to?
Right, so we've got a lot of new Traxxas, Chevy Traxxas, new Traverses, new Silverados. Those Chevy Traxxas are loaded up with some safety features and tech features.
So what I'm hearing right now is business is great. Is that right?
Business is great. Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, Bobby, I heard y'all have a great event happening in early October. Is that right?
That is correct. We're having on October 9th, we're having our annual breast cancer event at the dealership where I'm going to cook some jambalaya. We're going to have some good food. We're going to have a silent auction. We're going to have some entertainment, and it's open to the public, and that's at 205 Smoky Park Highway.
That sounds wonderful. Now, this event, the I Drive for Breast Cancer Awareness event, why is it so important to the community? What kind of impact are we talking about?
Well, it's trying to support Hope Chest for women that can't afford the treatment they need, that we give money to them so they can support that.
Indeed. Now, I was told it's going to be a mammogram bus. Is that right?
That is correct. Mammogram bus will be there at 9 a.m. Thursday morning.
All right. And just to be clear, this is open to everybody in the community. Is that right?
Absolutely.
All right. And Joey, before I let y'all go, working alongside your dad, what are some of those key business lessons that he has instilled in you from day one?
From day one, he always taught me customer first. Take care of your customer. Go the extra mile. It really pays off. I mean, you build these relationships, and we have all these family friends just from that, from growing up with him around the car business.
You guys epitomize the phrase exceptionalism. I like that. Well, gentlemen, on behalf of My 40 and WLOS TV, thank y'all for y'all's longstanding and proud support of high school athletics and the Western North Carolina region as a whole. We couldn't do it without y'all.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment, folks.
Friday Night Rivals Scholar Athlete, brought to you by Arby's.
Welcome back to Friday Night Rivals here on the Asheville Chevrolet Halftime Show. Well, folks, throughout the course of the F&R season, we're going to interview an array of Arby's Scholar Athlete winners here on this show. These Arby's Scholar Athlete winners are eligible to receive a $5,000 scholarship. Tonight, we are joined by the Arby's Scholar Athlete winner from RS Central High School, Jacob Hudgens. Jacob, my man, welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Good to be here.
Yes, sir. Good to have you here as well.
Yep.
So, Jacob, let's talk. You're in your football uniform, or half of it in this case. What are your thoughts on tonight's game?
I think it'll be a good game if we just gotta stay focused, stay consistent with our offense, and just play hard.
I like
do what we do.
Play hard and work hard. Yes, sir. And what position do you play?
I'm a linebacker on defense and a H-back on offense.
Excellent.
Yes,
now, I gather you are a wrestling superstar as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I say so. I'd say I'm pretty good at it.
Let's talk about your accomplishments within that sport.
Well, I'm the regional champ, and then I'm also the state runner-up.
Okay.
Yep.
Most impressive, my man.
Yeah.
Now, I want to shift our focus and talk about academics. How does that GPA look right now?
I believe it's a 4.38, so pretty good, I'd say.
That's very good, I would say. What are some of your post-high school plans?
I'd definitely like to attend college, hopefully, get a scholarship somehow, and then ain't got to pay for much, and then not really sure what I'd do there, but I know I want to go to college for sure.
I got
Possibly
you.
play sports.
I got you. Now, let's talk about your involvement in the community. I gather you have quite the presence. Can we unpack that?
Well, I really just help out wherever I can, with the church, the community, like especially after the floods. I came in and helped with the, handing out food and supplies and moving stuff around. So I really just help wherever I'm needed, and with the football team, with JV and just coaches, wherever I need to be, I just like to help.
And very briefly, why do you like to help? What inspires you to do that?
I just got a lot of free time. It's good to see people. It's good to help people. It makes you feel really good, I think.
You have a noble heart indeed. Well, once again, Jake, you are Arby's Scholar Athlete winner for this week. Congratulations. Here you are, sir. Good luck tonight on the football field, too.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Arby's, we have the meats. We'll be back in just a moment, folks.
Chesnee leads the border battle, 14-7 at the half. Both teams touched the football 4 times, and the Eagles come up with a couple of scores, one separating them, as we welcome you back to the Asheville Chevy Show at the break. And Tom, boy, Chesnee deferring after winning the toss. It's paid dividends because now they have the lead and they're about to have the football.
Yeah, I mean, 15 plays on defense, didn't score, missed the field goal, and then you came back, you're able to take the lead, and you saw some versatility there. And, you know, RS Central got back.
Bojangles Friday Night Rivals halftime, brought to you by Asheville.
Job to take the lead.
Let's take a look at the highlights from the first half. You're going to see a whole lot of that guy. What a first half, as usual, for Evan Reese-Lauder. But he had plenty of help, Tom.
Well, they did on that particular occasion. Was Cochran got that big play down the sideline and then go up and high-pointed, and Braylon Blanton. He had one called back, but he got that one for the touchdown.
Yeah, Blanton the touchdown. Remember, he was a 2A All-State wide receiver a year ago, and then more of Lauder, who found the end zone for the second TD, which has given Chesnee the lead.
Well, yeah, and then on the other side of the coin, it was Jacobs Smith, and he was outstanding as well in his ability to give them opportunity, and then you throw it up over the top, go high-pointed. Elmer Littlejohn, we talked about him, and he was quarterback last year, wide receiver, got the touchdown.
Likely not the last we'll see of Elmer Littlejohn tonight, or this type of impact from Chesnee. They went on to march toward the end of the half, and you know, Chesnee caps it all very nicely.
A couple of back-to-back passes to Braylon there, and then, you know, looking in the end zone, wasn't there. And this is what he's done all year long, take it to the pylon, scores, and take the lead at halftime.
Yeah, what a tremendous closing moment of the first half for Lauder and Chesnee. Time to hear from the visiting head coach. Some thoughts on halftime adjustments as we visit once more with Nelson.
Tom. Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Concepts. Well, Coach, in the first quarter, y'all did an excellent job monopolizing the ball, moving that ball down the field, and, of course, eating up substantial clock as well. In the second quarter, you guys got on the board, and now here we stand coming out of the half. You're only down by 1 touchdown. What was your message to the boys in the locker room just now?
Stay the course and be positive. You know, we've been in this position before in our first 2 games. They've all been tight games, and they just got to trust in each other. They trust us, we trust them. And just be positive and just keep making plays. We're making them earn everything. So that's a great game, good team, well-coached team. Look forward to a good second half.
All right, good luck in the second half, Coach. Yes, sir. Tom, Jason, back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much. And it has been a good first half of action here. We'll go ahead and take a break, and then when we come back, we'll have the second half for you coming up on Bojangles Friday Night Rivals.
Chesnee's going to have the football with the lead in the second half, which is moments away. Tom, worth looking back at the first half numbers. A little bit of separation created on that final drive numbers-wise for the Eagles.
Yeah, there was, and we knew both teams wanted to run the football, do it a little bit differently. I think to a certain extent, Chesnee did a pretty good job against that option offense, but the passing yardage, they've been successful there, and Braylon involved there, and down the sideline and able to get into the touchdown.
Eagles had a touchdown called back on a return. They had the interception. You pointed that out when we were talking about the first half. On the other side, you look at the timing scenario that RS Central is going to be thinking about with the way things ended there. They had that first drive that they got to be pointing back at and saying if something had come out of that drive, you're looking at a very different scenario. But you got to erase all that now on both sides because it's 24 minutes for a W.
Yeah, I tell you, and Jim Ryan going, hey, we're in it, 14-7. We didn't want them to score, but they did. But given the circumstances, one call back and an interception, you still got to feel pretty good about your chances.
Chesnee won the toss and deferred in that first half. Remember, already one of these run back, but it came back after a flag. This one may not. No flags just yet, and it's going all the way home as well. 94 yards for 21. And we saw him earlier on the defensive side of the football. This time, Marquez Franklin takes it the distance. And there's a kickoff return that stands. It stands as a Foundation Solutions touchdown. What a foundation for the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Braylon Blanton's a young man that took it back the distance and had it called back at one point. And, you know, back there, Chesnee, he gets his opportunity. And, you know, we talked about special teams play, and that's one of the keys we'll get to in just a moment. And it's been, to a certain extent, let RS Central down a little bit here.
You know what they love as much as anything about this guy? Young player with a bright future. Takes it home, 90+ yards for pay dirt. And Chesnee extends its lead with a major statement to start the half. Well, Scholar athlete smiling. Maybe that smile's a little brighter right now as we welcome you back with the Carolina Albee Orthodontics Smile Cam. And they are certainly smiling on the home side. Chesnee with a kickoff return for touchdown, bringing you into the Carolina Albee Orthodontics Smile Cam. With 11:46 to play in the third period, it's now a 2-score advantage for the Eagles.
Well, Chesnee head coach, Brett Chappell there told Nelson we need to get a good drive and may get another one on the board and let it separate a little bit. Well, take kickoff back for touchdown. That'll work as well. There you go.
Well, maybe they're going to be smiling on the opposite side. Here's RS Central with a special teams moment. Hilltoppers will take it inside the 30. Flags come in, and we'll have to sort that out. But another big return, this one of 57 yards on the Hilltoppers side of things. And Tom, there are Carolina Albee Orthodontics smiles all around. Reminder, they're serving you proudly in Asheville, Hendersonville, and the Brevard area. That's Carolina Albee, proud sponsors of our Smile Cam. And we'll see just how big that smile is for the Hilltoppers because the flag being stood over by our referee, Norman Hall, right now. And here comes the call. Going to be against Chesnee, a face mask, so you can tack on a little more.
Yeah, I tell you what, we saw earlier Jaquez Smith and his ability. Yep, great camera work, or both of them.
Well, Well, that might change the story a little bit.
So they both went at it there pretty good. You know, you do it to me, I'll do it to you. And
we reminded you on the timing scenario early, there is no replay in high school football, so that you'll just kind of stick in your back pocket for a lifetime.
Huge return by Smith. I mean, that particular point in time, given the circumstances and how the second half started. Now, if they can punch one in here, you know, you're back into the ball game.
You're right. An answer much needed for a Hilltoppers team that saw the half end in the second quarter and the half begin in the third quarter with a bang for Chesnee on both fronts. Here's the first down play from inside the first bank red zone, and they're going to stack the quarterback and ball carrier, Rylan Holly, up. He's going to be behind the sticks with the second down play coming. So 4 possessions apiece in the first half, as you documented earlier. Watch Chesnee handle this well. We'll get back to
I tell you, they've done a really nice job. I mean, the young man that's had Rylan Holly, who's had a great start to his season running and throwing the football, and bottled up a little bit on that play. Tried to keep him between the tackles there, and they got help and knocked him down for a 1-yard loss.
First bank red zone. They're set up in at 23 locations across western North Carolina and the upstate to serve you. And taking it this time in the heart of that Chesnee D and down around the 10-yard line is Holly. How about those big boys up front? They're going to try and help him, and his progress is finally halted at the 9-yard line. Just going to say a moment ago, Tom, 4 possessions on each side in that first half. With what we've seen at the start of the second half here, what do you kind of expect the rest of the way in this one?
You know what? You never know. If you'd have told me last week, as you get another look here, and I mean, tough run there from the standpoint that there were 7 possessions in the first half last week, and the second half was all over the place. That's why we like it's unscripted. You never know what's going to happen.
Why we show up every Friday night just to see what the next chapter is going to be. Third down and 4. Clock working down toward 10 minutes remaining. First drive of the second half. A little quicker on this drive for the Hilltoppers. Will they have a different result than their opening drive of the first half? A third down play that is handled by Chesnee. Let's see if they send the kicking unit out. You'll remember that 15-play drive to open the game ended with a 32-yard field goal that was just shy of the crossbar. It looks like the offense is making preparation to stay out on the field, down 2 scores ahead of this 4th down play.
Yeah, I figured they probably would do this a moment ago when they ran it and got it to 3rd down and 4, and you get a good look at Cody Breitenbach there along with Marquez Franklin, who had the return for the touchdown. He flips over, plays defense, made a nice tackle too.
Rylan Holly and company on 4th down in the heart of the first bank red zone. He's going to roll left. He's got a man in the end zone. It is caught for a touchdown. Michael Jennings with just enough space to bring that into the breadbasket for a Foundation Solutions touchdown.
I tell you what, that's a really nice call too. He's going to throw the football, but he's got a lot of different guys out in patterns that he can hit, but he puts the hand up and finds him. Gave himself some time, rolling to his left and let it separate there. And sometimes those are the toughest ones to catch, and he got it there. And nice response.
James Iacovelli's kick is good as the 10th grader punches it through. 21-14 in a had-to-have-it moment converted by Jennings. Stay with News 13 tonight at 11 p.m. for complete coverage of Western North Carolina high school football with Chris and Marvin. Friday Football Frenzy. It's brought to you by Foundation Solutions of Western North Carolina. Our amazing statistician who made the journey across the state line with us tonight, Tim Amos, tells us that 2 minutes 36 seconds later, after the kickoff was returned for a touchdown, RS Central answered with a score of their own. It's a one-score game once again. That was a 4-play, 15-yard after the long kick return touchdown drive, and it puts it at 21-14. What two big special teams plays. That's something you've been harping on all night, Tom.
Yeah, I tell you, and just a great response by Central because the momentum had shifted to Chesnee.
A lot like last year, the way this one's shaping up. Chesnee's got the return across the 35 near the 40-yard line. You know, this is a Chesnee team. We hadn't really been given the opportunity to get into it much. There's been so much action in the game so far, and so many stories to tell and things to share along the way. This is a team has one setback on the roster, on the schedule right now. When you look at that contest with Broome that ended up being an overtime thriller for his squad.
Yeah, they beat Pendleton 35-21, then at Broome 35-34 in overtime. They lost that game. They were down by 16 with 8 minutes to go. Got 2 touchdowns to point conversion to get into overtime.
That's worth underscoring. They scored, went for 2, got it. Scored, went for 2, got it. Just to work it.
Just to get it
into the overtime period. They ended up losing that one, and you love Brett Chappell's approach. He said, I got to the middle of the field and I met with Coach, and he looked at me like, why are you smiling? And he said, I was smiling because I just love to be a part of those kind of football games. Now, don't get him wrong. He loves to win, and he's done a lot of that at all of his stops, whether you're talking about his time at Pisgah, the 2013 to 24 seasons before he worked his way to Chesnee, or his time in Flat Rock at East Henderson before that. Guy who knows a lot about winning, but you love his spirit, Tom, in that he said, it's just been fun to be a part of those kind of football games. He said, and we got to the end of that thing, and I looked at Coach on the other side and said, man, it's a joy what we do.
Yeah, and you know, he's a guy that has been around the block in several different areas, and in that Broome game, Broome scored, kicked PAT, and Chesnee scored. They decided to go for 2 to win the game. Came up a little bit shy, but then they beat Walhalla 33-6. There's Cochran again, man. He's tough when he gets
everywhere, isn't he? You know what he just received? Pocket change, laundry, first down.
Okay.
As you move the chains across midfield and into RS Central territory. Chesnee on the move again. You know, an entirely different tenor to this second half than what we experienced in the first for the second straight week. Very differently than a week ago, but a whole different feel here, Tom, after the explosive kick returns to set the stage for the third quarter.
Well, as Brett Chappell was telling Nelson, it's you know, it took a little while both sides to kind of settle in, see what the other teams are doing, make adjustments throughout the first half, and you're gonna, if they win it, you're gonna go back to that drive, 56.4 seconds, I think it was, to end the first half to get that touchdown. But good response though by Central to get themselves back within 7 here.
Scored with no time remaining in the first half, and scored by returning the opening kickoff 94 yards to open the second half. And here is Evan Reese Lauder, and he's a little deeper into RS Central territory. Boy, he is so smooth when you watch him, Tom, at the quarterback position. Yeah, Chesnee working their way back to the middle of the field here as our officials are going to talk it over. Introduced him to you in the first half. Worth sharing with you again. Our referee is Norman Hall, our umpire Dan Reagan, our linesman Sam Reinhart, William Stockdale, our line judge, and Eric Meinke, the back judge. And after they sort all this out, we'll have what looks to be a second down play from greater distance. Let's give you Lauder's numbers as we were just talking about how smooth he has been. 12 of 75 and a couple touchdowns to his credit. And then through the air, he is 6 of 9. He's thrown for 100 yards as well. So, Tom, little higher totals in the passing game tonight with the Braylon Blanton catch that set everything up earlier. But he's putting together some impressive numbers again.
Yeah, came in 17 out of 30, 237, 3 touchdowns, a couple interceptions, 57% completion rate, but he's been 134 yards per game rushing coming in.
After the penalty, he's facing first and forever, and proves to be an escape artist on this play. Gets back to the 40, and he'll slide down there. That's not quite the line of scrimmage, but that had disaster written all over it.
Yeah, he did a nice 360 spin there to get out of it. And you know what? I think probably just go ahead and get down. Watch this. And you're going to see a block out on the edge that did a good job there not to I think it's Cochran there that got in the way of the outstanding linebacker Hudgens there. And he's just decided to just get to the turf right here and live to play another game.
7 and change remaining in the third quarter. One score separating these two again. And the Hilltoppers have Chesnee behind the sticks. It's second down and a country mile, as we say in these parts. And up across the 45 to the 47 is where the ball carrier will be brought down. A little more manageable, but still, it's going to be a ways to go here, Tom. They need the 38-yard line on the Hilltoppers side of the field.
Yeah, the Hilltoppers just need to get out, get them off the field, get yourself back the ball. You kind of withstood that early kickoff return and get yourself back in the ball game. Now you need a defensive stand, and you know, you get behind the chains. Neither one of these teams, and you probably say that about any team, they don't want to get into this particular situation, but you need a good stand here.
Boy, how good a look is that? Right into the teeth of that defense.
That's Josh Lawson. He's been involved heavily tonight. There you
Chesnee,
go.
over on third down. It'll stay that way. In fact, a huge loss has just when you called it. Here's an on-cue response.
Yeah, I tell you, didn't even have time. Here comes Kennard around the backside there and finishing up there. You see Lawson in the screen as well. But boy, well done. And sometimes we've seen Evan and Reese Lauder get out of that. We saw it a moment ago, but nice one-on-one tackle getting to the turf.
Mason Kennard there, 5:38, and downward it goes. And this RS Central Hilltopper squad coming up with the stop to get the football back. And timeout is called. Well, speaking of stops, a reminder that before this contest is done, we will have the school bus stop of the game. Stay tuned. The law in every state requires drivers to always stop for school buses when the stop arm is out and the red lights are flashing. We'll have the school bus stop of the game. Toward the conclusion of this one, you have every indication, Tom Van Hoy, that it's going to take the depths of this contest to decide who's going to be on top. These heavyweight fighters keep trading blows.
Tell you
here.
what, this has been a really interesting game. A lot of emotional roller coaster, so to speak, by both sides, and responses. They've been able to come back, and as Chesnee opened it up there, Hilltoppers came back. Good return, short drive, touchdown pass on 4th down and 4. And if folks just joined us, Chesnee had a touchdown call back. They had an interception in the end zone as well. So they probably feel like they can have more points on the board. They score right before intermission, a drive of less than a minute after they were able to get the ball back. And we've got a good one going here. And to tell you, picturesque as you drive in here and you see it. It's a nice venues, a great crowd on hand here tonight.
Nothing quite like it here in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, right off Highway 11. Like we said, the pace that so many here in the Carolinas have enjoyed for so long. The trademark of these two communities. Here's a second punt for Chesnee in the football game. And it's a pretty good one. That's a strong foot of Bryce Horton.
Man.
Will send this inside the 25, and it'll take an Eagles bounce before it is finally brought to a halt by Ben Hefner. And that is where RS Central takes over down a touchdown when you return to Chesnee.
It's okay to need support. No matter your crisis, you have options. Learn more at ncdhhs.gov/crisis services.
What a fine facility for football here at Chesnee High School. Boy, Tom, we were walking around on the turf earlier today.
Man.
It is as good as it gets. The fans filing in here and supporting this team. These two communities, the backing they've had historically, athletics. I mean, it's everything you want out of a Friday night.
Yeah, summertime when we were down there shooting the open.
Felt that way. Yeah,
coming
bright
off that turf.
sunshine, better than the alternative. We were soaking up some rays, and now tonight, under the bright lights, Friday Night Rivals rolls on. Brought to you by Bojangles. Speaking of rolling on, we're going to stay in this area for the next several weeks. We cross over the state line into North Carolina to visit Polk next week. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then Spartanburg hosts Gaffney in that always powerful Region 2 5A showdown in the middle portion of this county before sticking with it for Dorman hosting Bowling Springs and then working our way to Gaffney for that annual showdown with Burns. So the next several weeks, a lot in this particular area, which is a football-rich area, whether you're on the North Carolina side of the state line or the South Carolina side of the state line. Going to be a lot of fun for the next month or so. Back to work goes Holly, and he's going to give this off, but Chesnee was waiting for it. If you're wondering about Holly's numbers from that first half of action, he was 6 of 11 passing for 54 yards, a couple of touchdowns, interestingly enough. Chesnee snuffs this one out on the ground. And how did he perform on the ground? 7 carries, 35 yards. He averaged right at 3 per carry. That's the quarterback of the second-year head coach, Jim Ryan, who was filling up your screen there. What do you think about the performance for Ryland Holly and company so far?
I think so far so good. Holly, 5'11", 160, sophomore. He has the ability to throw it and run it. We'll see what he does on 3rd down and 8.
4 of 9 on 3rd down so far in the football game. All those coming in that first half, and he's looking for a 5th conversion, but it is turned aside. Chesnee says not so fast.
Tell you what, Marquez Franklin having a big second half in many facets of the game.
Franklin having appeared, as you said, on both sides of the football, making his presence known for the Eagles tonight. And look at the disruption on this 3rd down play.
Yeah, outside linebacker, he's another young guy, sophomore.
Timed it beautifully. 3:55 on the game clock as the Hilltoppers are set to kick it away. You know who's back to return it. Braylon Blanton, guy with 4 receiving touchdowns on the year, who had a return for what they thought was a touchdown earlier. And we thought we were going to see the 3rd punt of the night for RS Central. Instead, little roll of the dice from deep in their own territory. And guess what? Pays off for the Riverboat Gambler. Jim Ryan and company moved the chains.
You know what? He told us in our conversation this week that they might try to do something on a particular situation, particularly with him, the quarterback, being the punter, and he did there.
Well, we talked earlier in the contest about how that's in the back pocket, not in those moments. How about in these? Ryland Holly takes off, and you can move the chains with a pocket change laundry. 1st down. Keeps it himself again, and bodies collide at near the 40-yard line. That's pretty good 1st down yardage. Going to be 2nd and about 6. Well, mentioned the collision of bodies right there in the heart of things, and what you don't want to see, a Chesnee player just a little slow to get up here.
Yep.
Appears to be Zach Henderson, perhaps. We'll check on his status on the other side of this brief pause.
Welcome back to Friday Night Rivals. Well, folks, I'm standing here on the sideline with some of the beautiful cheerleaders here at Chesnee High School. Ladies, on behalf of My 40 and Friday Night Rivals, thank y'all so much for inviting us here tonight. We proudly present y'all a check for $500!
Well, we had been looking forward to coming to Chesnee High School. So many in the community excited about the journey here. And thanks, Nelson, for all the good work introducing you to fans, players, all the different elements that make this Friday night football environment unique. And Tom, anytime we get to go somewhere for the first time, all across North and South Carolina, we look at it and we say that's going to be a fun Friday night. And our hosts here have been as good as usual. And that lick right there, a little more perhaps than usual. Braylon Blanton, did we mention he also plays on the defensive side of the football?
Yeah, I tell you what, nice job there. Both coaches we talked about, as you get one more look at it, he had timed it, and just makes a strong tackle there. Knocked him down hard. Good player, both sides of the ball.
Inside 3 minutes to go in quarter number 3. And they will not be able to work their way back before a little laundry goes on the field. That may result in a pocket change laundry. First down, it will for RS Central, as they will not have to run the third down play. A pocket change laundry first down. How about this? Via the laundry that time.
Yes.
That ends up on the field.
There you go.
On the flag defensively.
Relatively apropos, I would imagine.
2:27 now and ticking downward and closing in on midfield. Rylan Holly with the first down play coming, and he will send. Swepson in motion, goes over the middle and had a guy between the hashes. Just could not quite give Elmer Littlejohn enough of a chance to reel that in. Littlejohn's already had his moments tonight, Tom. He is quite a factor. You expect he will be the rest of the way.
Yeah, he went up between a couple of defenders earlier in the ball game and was able to get a 33-yard touchdown pass that tied the game at 7. It came back 5:53 in the second quarter.
We got to talk linemen a little bit. You mentioned earlier in the game Lathan Metcalf. He's the anchor of this offensive line as an all-conference performer. He's a guy getting looks, already receiving calls at the next level to play on Saturdays. He wears jersey number 55. He's right up there in the thick of everything RS Central's trying to do in this.
295 up front. Guys become a factor in the game, particularly a little bit later on if you want to control the game and have that opportunity. Now they have a situation where this is a big drive here with 2:08 to go in the third.
Well, and that is one of the strengths of this team, their size up front. That's something Jim Ryan and company are going to rely heavily upon if they are going to take it Arizona State style, one at a time. Their mantra for this 2025 season. You know, this was a season they have entered with very high expectations, Tom. And he said, I had to kind of temper the kids' expectations by saying, let's take this one at a time. We believe we're going to throw our hat in the ring, be very competitive in our newly revamped conference. And there are bright days ahead for this team for sure. Are they going to happen right on this drive? After the penalty, it is 2nd and 15. Here's another bit of trickery and just enough time. And I mean just enough time. For who else but number 8, Evan Reese-Lauder. Who better to read a quarterback's mind than the quarterback on the other sideline?
Yep, I mean, you got to be paying attention to what's going on because he was not the one that was throwing the football, and then they also take a look at what he was doing in the secondary as well. I mean, both coaches told us about that, and if you look at the 2 deep, there are a lot of guys that are going to play both ways, and they'll be in and out quite a bit as well.
When that is the case, you have to pick your moments, and that was a big moment for Chesnee. Another deep shot here, another home run ball that Chesnee nearly came away with. They had double coverage there. Lauder was on the scene again. Had plenty of help this time, and most importantly for the Eagles, it falls to the turf with no catch being made. You know, that was the dynamic duo right there. Lauder and Blanton.
And Blanton, secondary. I mean, we talked about with both coaches, and we've done it before with some of the other teams that we broadcast, is just from a time management standpoint to both sides of the football, and then you got to throw in special teams as well.
Inside 2 minutes in the third. And a little trouble with the snap. Boy, the punt, or lack thereof, as they faked it, worked out so beautifully last time. And how about making something out of nothing? Rylan Holly miraculously, in many ways, gets this away, and it's going to go to the other side of the field at the 30. And if you would have told this team that with the way that started, they never would have believed you. Both quarterbacks showing their skills in a variety of ways, including a 27-yard punt from Holly. Chesnee ball in a moment. Bojangles is a proud sponsor of WLOS Friday Night Football. It's not just football season, it's tailgate season. Head to Bojangles and order the tailgate box today. It's not a tailgate without Bojangles. It's bow time. Well, what a joy to be at Chesnee tonight, home of the Eagles. As we said, you got to slide down to the Bantam Chef. You know, Brett Chappell told us, you know, don't forget about Strawberry Hill just down 11. He's a Highway 11 guy, right? There's so many great spots that make up this area, this community, and so many wonderful people as well from Chesnee and the RS Central community over the years. This is into RS Central territory. Chesnee with a spark to get things going. But, Tom, this has kind of been the story of late, a flag down, and this one is coming back.
Yeah, I tell you, they've had a couple of instances here when they were driving the football and not real happy about that. And we've seen Cochran, and we talked about him a little bit earlier. He came in with 20 for 210, 10.5 per carry, and had a big gain on that first touchdown run.
You know, one more thing while they sort this penalty out, Tom, that we don't need to let the night pass us by before we get in. Nolan Forsaro, who is the son of the principal here at Chesnee High School, was in an accident, has battled to work his way back, and is back tonight on the offensive line. Also handles some other responsibilities for this group, at times wearing jersey number 14, at times wearing jersey 53. But whatever jersey he's wearing, it is a lift to this community that he's back on that line tonight.
Yeah, well respected and got a chance to play last week, and he will be a major addition to this team going forward.
Absolutely. Got to give the guys on the offensive line a little love. We were talking about it with one of the key leaders on RS Central's team, Metcalf, in the last drive. And those guys up front, you know, you can talk Matthews and Braderbach and Ledford, the center. Obviously, Peñagua and Page, all making room up front. You know, some of those among the senior leaders on this squad, but in a rushing offense, Tom, their role is critical.
309 yards per game coming in. They average 6.2 yards per carry. 82% of their plays are rushing plays. Here's a pass now.
On second down. Well, we often say on cue, anything but cue right here, and it works out for Chesnee to the tune of some very positive yards. Now, that's going to make it third and manageable up around the 39 as we're in the final minute of the third quarter.
Now, we've seen these teams get behind the chains a little bit, and in this case, he's so hard to bring down, and then eventually game tackled there at the end. A very tough run, and you know, now gives you a pretty good opportunity.
Well, what do you mean? Lauder's thrown it 10 times tonight. In fact, he's 7 of 10 in terms of passing for 114 yards. He's hit Braylon Blanton 4 times for 67 of those, if you're wondering about that connection. Let's see who he targets here. Going to come near side. Was trying to find Jaden Bridges, one of the guys who goes both ways on this squad, and another of those senior leaders, but it's incomplete.
Boy, that's one that he'd probably like to have back, just turn it up. I think he probably could have got that first down there, but you know what? Decided to try to get it to the sideline and just missed him.
Well, the staff for Chesnee, what were we told, brought Barry Lance, Pisgah, DC with him, 30-plus years. Coach Jeff Floyd, also 3 decades plus with him at East before that. Jay Cash, son of Jerry Cash, known for his work in North and South Carolina as a coach and a Chesnee grad. He had an Ethan Ray, the quarterback's coach, who played at CSU, was a Bowling Springs grad. On down the line it goes. You know, these staffs, Cole Haskins, Coach Piazza, Steve Epley, Travis Pittman, Cameron Anderson, these staffs that are put together, so many of those, you know, veteran guys, a mix of that and young guys, they do the heavy lifting. And we'll see what these two coaching staffs can dial up with these teams separated by a touchdown with a quarter left to play. Came down to a 4th down conversion in the final minute when these teams met a season ago. It's at least going to come down to the 4th quarter in this one. Just 1 touchdown between them. Chesnee leading RS Central. Hilltoppers with the football. They take over after a 36-yard punt from Chesnee. And here goes Holly. He's got the 1st down and a little more up across the 40-yard line. Gave you his numbers at the half. Holly, who has passed for 58 yards 7 times with 15 connections, has also reminded you what he can do on the ground. And he's got himself a 1st down. What, so many of those pocket change laundry 1st downs in the 1st and 3rd quarter he was able to secure. Adds to that total here with the 1st down of the 4th period. And Tom, here's RS Central looking for a little rhythm.
Yeah, that's what they want to do. You don't want to get behind the chains, either team. They're going to throw it over the middle and have what they want to just drop the football there, because you're anticipating that, you know, we start the 4th quarter here down by 7. He had a great run there off the option play and then tossed it over the middle and unable to hang on to it, and intended for sweeps in there and just incomplete. It goes 2nd down and 10. And you know, you may look back at a certain point about that punt that the Hilltoppers had that was a bad snap and hit on the nose of the ball and kicked about 15-20 yards, and that set up the opportunity to get the ball back in decent field position here.
Yeah, what a remarkable play that was. It saved the day in many ways, where Chesnee was going to be set up nicely deep in Hilltoppers territory, and that's some of Holly's good work in a variety of ways. Best work he does right here, turns and hands to Smith, and that's into Chesnee territory at the 40-yard line. Now Smith has carried the ball 8 times, and he had only rushed for 20 yards before this, but this is impressive.
And watch that run right there. I mean, the old cliche of he cut on a dime there. I mean, kind of stopped, stutter step. Let's just go the other way about 45 degrees and able to get another 5-6 yards out of it.
Got 5-6 different guys that have carried the football tonight for the Hilltoppers. If you're wondering about it, 10 times for 60 yards in the case of Holly. But he's utilizing the weapons around him right now. Nobody more than Jaquise Smith, who's going to move the chains for the Hilltoppers.
Well, Brayton Bland goes low, and he gets up over the top and gets in a couple additional yardage. So he's been utilizing that right side. Alex Roach and Riley Holyfield over that way at 260 and 250. Senior and sophomore, respectively.
That'll get the job done, won't it, Tom Benhoy? You talk about that kind of size to move opponents around. Timeout taken with 11:02 to play. It was a first down. Now all of a sudden, 9 carries, 51 yards for Smith, who's heating up on this drive.
Yeah, it's kind of quiet there for much of the ball game, but you know, you're coming to crunch time here. We talked about one of the keys to the game for the Hilltoppers was the ability to finish. They lost a tough game at McDowell, 24-21, and they lost to North Henderson, 42-37. We talked about how good North Henderson is. They gave Hendersonville everything they wanted last week. In Hendersonville, we saw with a big win over West Henderson.
Let's talk conference and region just a moment. How about the conference for his squad as you look at it? Obviously, High Brighton there, we talked about. They're not the only ones, but everybody else in many ways, Tom, kind of in that middle mix that his team would like to climb through.
They're talking 4A. He also said that, you know, East Rutherford would be that way as well. High Brighton, he's going to go on the road. He's going to finish up. That could be that'll be a huge game, not only in the county, but the last game of the year. So
you got the Coach Lewis connections there as well when you think in terms of what was here at Chesnee prior to that. Flipping it over on the other side before we get too deep into this fourth quarter, Chesnee obviously has Clinton in the region. They ran the table to a state championship a season ago. Clinton's still there. They're still going to be strong, but Chesnee will be highly competitive.
Yeah, beat Barnwell for 35-16 last year. They're number 4 in 2A this week, and you know, they feel like they can be competitive, but it's going to go through Clinton as it always does.
Going to go through Clinton, but Chesnee you would expect going to be right there. Both these teams high prospects as they move forward. First down play, a positive gain for Holly. Second down coming. Yeah, it goes through one school on one side conference-wise, one school on the other side of the state line region-wise. But these two teams, certainly teams that are going to make waves in their respective high school football seasons.
Well, they've got a non-conference game coming up next week. Talking about Chesnee, they're at Woodruff. Woodruff has a very fine football team this year, high-scoring team.
Always have, right? Way back to the Willie Varner days. That's one of the programs in South Carolina you have to always keep an eye on. 10-27 and ticking downward here in the second down play being run. Holly, and that's batted aside. Talking about some of the great, well, actually, he reeled that in. Look at that, all the way over on the far side, and we're not the only ones in disbelief. Take another look at this.
Yeah, he really threads the needle, and right there was Blanton as well, and boy, that's a great catch. I mean, not only was his ability to run the football that set up this drive, but his ability to catch the football.
Smith has done everything on this drive, and he set up a First Bank red zone chance inside the 15-yard line. Boy, that as impressive as any of those rushing skills you were wowed by a moment ago. Smith, room, down inside the 5, still going. Football comes out, though, and Chesnee is going to come away with it for the touchback. You circle game-changing moments, or at the very least, tuck them away in the back of your mind. Here's one for you. It looked like potential touchdown coming for RS Central. Instead, it's a Chesnee takeaway.
Man, up inside, look at that hole, puts his head down, and boy, a big hit there. And then I think it might have been Lauder who made the hit.
You know who it ended up with in the end?
Yeah.
That's Braylon Blanton, who's celebrating the takeaway. And Chesnee has it at the 20. There are going to be 2 moments in this football game, at least if things hold where they are right now. And there's a long way to go until then. But the end of that drive, the end of the 15-play drive to open the football game, those are the 2 moments for RS Central, Tom, that if they could have just capped the drives with something, would have changed the complexion of where we are here in the early stages of the fourth quarter.
And as I said earlier in the game, it didn't count. You get it into the end zone, but and you know, you can look at it both ways. I mean, this game has a lot of swings of emotion on both sides tonight. But that was an impressive drive, but it ended up with a fumble recovered in the end zone.
9.5. An eternity left in this one in many ways in the sport of football. And Lauder loose past the first down marker. You can move the chains to the 32-yard line. So much praise from the RS Central coaching staff regarding this dynamic rusher, passer, dual threat quarterback for Chesnee. Now there is a flag down back at the 25-yard line, but he has shown you time and again tonight, Tom, how many different ways he can make it difficult on opposing defense.
Yeah, I tell you what, good solid player and good decision making as well, junior there. And you mentioned this a moment ago, but man, oh man, I tell you, so many penalties have been assessed against Chesnee here in the second half that it's gotten them behind the chains. And you know what, they probably, with a 21-14 lead, 9:20 to go, that they would just like to plug away, run some clock, you know, and maybe kick it back and play defense if they don't score that type, to make them go a long way. But we saw RS Central go a long way last time.
Speaking of a long way, here's a long toss that's going to be incomplete. 7 penalties, almost a half of football field, to your point, against the Chesnee Eagles along the way in this one. And then you also factor in the penalty on the kickoff return for a touchdown. They've been untimely in nature here or there as well. You know, the other thing we were talking about, you're talking about Chesnee and the future and the region. You know, this JV team's undefeated. Another big win last night. Coach Brett Chappell is excited about the future with what's going on with the JV squad. The second-year head coach of the Eagles reminding us that they had another big win last night, and that's a unit that has not been set back just yet in 2025.
It starts down there.
That's where it all begins. His quarterback going to have to make something happen here. Somehow gets away, and he's going to make it up across the 20 to the 23-yard line. Just when you think you've got Evan Reese Lauder hemmed up, this so often is the end result.
Well, and again, that penalty just changed the whole dynamics of the play call, and they had to go deep, and now you're trying to make something happen here, and he did. He got a couple of yards there before he stepped out of bounds.
Here comes the punt unit, and RS Central is going to be set up nicely. You know, for all those ifs and what ifs, this is an RS Central team set to get the football back near midfield with under 9 to play and a chance for a drive that would tie up the football game. Hilltoppers still feeling pretty good. Hope springs eternal in this one on the road. Handling the hop and putting a foot into it. Boy, does that take a Chesnee bounce. It hit just inside the 45. Going to be blown dead at the 33-yard line, and that's where the Hilltoppers will have it. And a one-score fourth-quarter contest on the other side of the break.
This is the school bus stop of the game. Always remember to stop when the school bus. This is the school bus stop of the game. Always remember to stop when the school bus arm is out.
The takeaway for Chesnee moments ago. RS Central on the verge of evening the score before this touchback on the fumble changed things. And look at the two gentlemen on both ends of this play. That was the dynamic duo, as we've called them more than once, Tom, getting the job done on our school bus stop of the game. You remember, every time you see the arm out and the red light's flashing, you have to stop. It's a law all around the country, and that is our school bus stop of the game. That was Lauder punching it loose and Blanton bringing it.
I mean, that's a big hit by a quarterback, you know. I mean, he's more than a quarterback, but we wanted to double check, make sure that it wasn't Blanton. You know, those two combined for a long touchdown pass earlier in the game.
He has done so many things tonight, Evan Reese Lauder. The question is, can Chesnee come up with another stop to prevent RS Central from evening the score? .830 and downward it goes in a 21-14 football game. Tom Van Hoy, this is what we signed up for.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's you got to feel good if you're RS Central given the circumstances and what transpired, and if you're Chesnee, you know, the bugaboo has been the penalties. They came in 242 penalties, 162 to the opposition. It's been a problem in that particular regard. They've had some situations where it's put them back out of behind the chains, and it has allowed RS Central to a certain extent to stay in the ballgame.
Well, on the ground it stays, and fighting for every inch in what is often termed the 10-yard fight. Jaquez Smith again with very positive yardage, making third down manageable.
I'll tell you what, here in the last two possessions, he's become a major factor in the game, and then you get it to third down and 2, and if you're RS Central, you did what you needed to do on the last drive and you just didn't finish it off. That has been one of the mantras that they have adapted to here in after the first 2 ball games. They came up a little bit shy, and so they're trying to finish one off here with 7:29 to go and counting down by 7.
Third down, tight package, and lunging across the line. How did Rylan Holly break loose from everyone else? Whatever he did, it was enough. Move the chains.
And we'll see how it plays out. 250, 295, 230, 260, 250. Tackle to tackle up front. So they've been able to run the ball to a certain extent between the tackles, but Smith has been given so much room that once he gets to the secondary, he's tough to bring down himself.
7 and change for the Toppers to work with. Puts a man in motion, sweeps and goes up. Guess who? Little John. He's got the speed to change things. And he has one man to beat at the 5. He will be driven out of bounds inside the 5-yard line, but Elmer Littlejohn has once more set the stage for the Hilltoppers to equalize.
It's all set up by the ability to run the football. And watch a little nuance here as he comes down the sideline. Slow little wiggle there, and then knocked out of bounds by Blanton.
54 yards into the First Bank red zone. 23 locations across western North Carolina and the upstate. That's First Bank, proud sponsors of our red zone on Friday Night Rivals. Can they turn the First Bank red zone chance into a Foundation Solutions TD and make it 21-all? Hilltoppers on the doorstep. Smith, direct snap, his direction. Why not? He spun down just shy of the goal line. What an open field effort put together that time by the Chesnee Eagles defense.
I see Platt there able to make that play, but it was the jumbo power set there. They went opposite of that the other way. Watch how it's set up here. And really nice play, good read, and good tackle.
Platt came a long way to get to Smith that time around. Here's second down and goal. A lot of time left in this one. 6+ remaining. Interior, and the handoff works beautifully. Jacob Hudgens, the fullback, getting his number called when it matters most, and he has a Foundation Solutions TD.
Man, watch this play. It was again a power set, and then you had Jaquez Smith who took the snap, and he hands it off to Hudgens, the outstanding linebacker as well, and fullback, and he takes it in, and here comes a big PAT.
Hudgens touchdown, and Hudgens Foundation Solutions TD, making it 21-20. You said it, the extra point, critically important. It is true off the foot of James Iacovelli. The RS Central Hilltoppers have made sure nothing's settled yet in Chesnee. visiting side, looking back over that drive, 5 plays, 67 yards, 2.5 minutes, 2:37 to be specific later. And on a 2-yard run, the extra point true. And Tom, you know, everybody waiting to see who writes the next chapter, who has the big moment. On this occasion, it goes into the hands of Jacob Hudgens. And RS Central has made it 21-all in this border battle. Hilltoppers coming across the line from North Carolina. Chesnee representing the Palmetto State of South Carolina. How much fun has this been tonight between these two close-knit and close in proximity communities. Return game having been a factor on both sides in this one, but RS Central covers this pretty nicely. Up to the 35 is all that will be available to Chesnee here. Love to see that too. This is a hard-fought football game, but the sportsmanship has been on display from the very beginning.
It has.
The respect level is there.
Even though different states, I mean, they're only like 20 miles apart, very close-knit in that regard. You know, it's probably, for both teams, it's probably a win on a kickoff to stop them at the 35-yard line.
It's tough field position tonight, right?
I know.
No, you're right, Tom. This game's so important to these two communities. You know, regions have changed in South Carolina. Conferences have changed in North Carolina. All kind of realignment scenarios. But they've decided to still play one another for moments just like this. Evan Reese-Lauder down the far side and just caught by a hair at around the 5-yard line.
I tell you, nicely done. Got outside, showed his speed. He's been playing on the other side of the football. We had to stop a moment ago with his big hit there. And you see this right there, and he cut it back inside. He got by a little John, but then he can run down from behind. Nice job. Make sure he didn't get into the end zone.
That's why those of you at home that want to play this game at this level and maybe even the next, you never give up on the play. 60 yards later, Lauder has them in the First Bank red zone. Boy, they're time for 6-8 more possessions in this game, right?
I mean, you never know. That's why
5.5 to go, and it's handed off right side. Room made by the big guys up front, and down to the 2-yard line is the ball carrier. That'll eat some of this game clock. And Cale Thrift and company will unfurl the pile as the ball rests on the 2. You know, Lauder, his numbers now after that 60-yard run, 17 carries, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Will he opt to try for a third here with the game tied at under 5 minutes to play? Gives it off, and carrying it with gusto into the end zone. Cale Thrift, another dose of 11. And Chesnee is back on top. Here is the Foundation Solutions touchdown run for Cale Thrift.
And just like that, that 60-yard run by Evan Reese-Lauder set it up, and he's able to power it in for the score. Boy, what a great comeback by Chesnee after the Hilltoppers had taken the momentum.
One thing we've learned about these two teams, you just got to force them to answer. When one of these two teams has to answer a big moment from the other, they have been true, just as this kick is true. A touchdown run for Cale Thrift, and Chesnee is back out front by 7. Carolina Furniture Concepts is a presenting sponsor of Friday Night Rivals. They have over $5 million of furniture in stock and ready to be delivered to you. Visit their Arden and Waynesville showrooms or go online at CarolinaFurnitureConcepts.com. Marching Eagles enjoying themselves. Fans on the far side, plenty to cheer about as well. Things heating up here in Chesnee. 3 plays, Tom. 65 yards. 1 minute, 16 seconds off the game clock. And with under 5 to play, Chesnee back out front by a TD.
So much for grinding it out, you know.
Well, these teams have proven they can do it both ways.
Yes, they can. It's been very fun.
This is a short kick. And we even threw some traffic at the 40 to the 43-yard line as he ends up returning this is Jordan Halsey. And looks like he's just a bit slow to get up, but appears to be okay. And that's going to be really good field position for RS Central as the Hilltoppers look to, how many times have we said it tonight, respond.
You know, when you think about it, we talked about Evan Reese Lauder and then Mikel Jennings, and you can go on down Blanton, those guys. The success that they've had, and they're good on both sides of the football. Not only do they play both sides of the football, but they've been impactful.
You want to know how close this football game has been numbers-wise? Total yards of offense. 305 Chesnee, 301 RS Central.
Wow.
Fourth quarter, 4 yards separating them. If we did okay on the math. Here's the handoff as it goes far side.
We're just reading.
Into Smith's grasp. When all the front numbers are the same, subtraction's not that hard, right?
There we go, yes.
4.5, and down it goes. Second down and 10 coming. Boy, every drive going to be pivotal the rest of the way, Tom, but this one, Chesnee hoping to make that last score stick.
And a really good job defensively there. We've seen Smith here in the second half get good yardage on first and or second down, and that set up some things through the passing game as well here in the second half.
Rylan Holly in the field general tonight. You said we have seen Smith. We see him again. Another first down. Move the chains into Chesnee territory for the Toppers.
There's Franklin making another tackle as well. He had that kickoff return for a touchdown, and man, I tell you, Smith has had a big game here in the second half, particularly in the first half was solid. He's a 5'9", 155-pound sophomore.
And he's sitting at 12 carries for 59 yards as we speak, and the majority of that coming here in this second half, Tom.
Big chunk plays too out of it.
Not to mention a couple of times through the air they've located him in this one tonight. Here's the first down play, and up top, speaking of through the air, guess who makes an adjustment? Elmer Littlejohn willed himself to enough of an open window, reeling in the catch. Now there is a bit of discussion about it as a flag was down. It's going to be pass interference offensively, so they believed that a little extra on the side of Elmer Littlejohn was in order here.
Let's take a look at it again. Like they were battling for the ball, maybe a little bit of a push off there.
You know, sometimes the official sees that kind of separation happen quickly, Tom, and from a distance, the flag is thrown, depending on, as you often say, which set of glasses you're looking at that through. Tough one for he and his staff. Jim Ryan had other thoughts on that play. Boy, Elmer Littlejohn, either way, his athletic ability has been impressive tonight.
Yeah, the adjustment that he did make to catch that ball, and you know, they were paddling down that way. And again, it depends on, like I said, which color glasses you have on there, but it didn't look like a whole bunch.
Well, on a hot day like this, you were employed in the shades earlier today. You got to do what you got to do. Sure has cooled off nicely now. A gorgeous night in the Carolinas. I mean, the comfort level exactly where you would want it to be tonight. You think about temperatures just shy of 70 degrees as we cross over the 10 o'clock hour in the Eastern time zone. You could not order it up any better than this. And oh, by the way, we got two good teams separated by one touchdown.
Had a great ball game tonight, and you know, Jim Ryan there, you can't blame him for being upset on that call. And you know, one thing we haven't talked about with Coach Ryan too is he knows these guys. He got an opportunity to move up. They kind of cycled through a few coaches, and he was the JV coach, I guess, or middle school.
Middle school,
and
had Ryan Holly in middle school,
and knew all of these guys coming up. So that was a plus for him as well.
The Illinois native, high school football player in the high school ranks in Illinois, and went to Arizona State, worked his way back to the game. Now making his mark on the Carolinas. The chess match between these two second-year head coaches continues after the penalty. Hilltoppers get some of that back, but time for the first time, we'll say this now, is becoming a factor inside 3 minutes to play. Second down and long.
Yeah, this is 4-down territory the entire way. I tell you, it was a pretty good job to even get a pretty good yardage there, but it was Benji Ozerin who made a nice tackle there to keep him to about 7 or 8 yards.
Second down, line to make is the 35 on the Chesnee side of the 50, and before this play is run, flags fly again. And the flag is on RS Central, so the Hilltoppers going to have a little further the hill they must climb. A little more. 2:29 to go. This the makings of a game-tying drive, but right now RS Central moving in the wrong direction.
Tell you what, these two teams, they hook up. They have great ball games. I mean, Chesnee's won 2 of the last 3 between these, and we've documented what happened last year between these two, and it's come down to that again here tonight.
If you weren't with us, 30 seconds remaining. Chesnee was going to kick the field goal to win it. Timeout ensued. Troops came over, said to Brett Chappell, we want to win the thing. They went for it on 4th and 7, got more than the first down, as they handed it to the sizable factor, KJ Proctor. He carried it into the end zone, and Chesnee came away with victory. That was the 2024 edition of this showdown, and 2025, it has not disappointed either.
It's been a great ball game, and you know there have been mistakes along the way, and as you would expect in each and every game, and you get a look at what's coming up next week.
Well, we mentioned it. We're staying pretty close by. Polk County. We're going to see Polk and Owen. Owen, a school that's close to the heart, right? When you think about the 4 horses, you know, you see Brett Chappell down there in this Chesnee squad. You think about Kenny Ford, our broadcast colleague Kenny Ford, who, by the way, we know is listening. Hello, Kenny. Always a pleasure to have you with us. One of the catalysts for Friday Night Rivals being what it is in the Carolinas, both as a football coach and as a broadcaster. You know, his first pick in the East-West game years ago, he had to pick when Brett Chappell was coming out of Rosman High School, and his first pick in the East-West game, a guy who coached in the Shrine Bowl, who coached in the East-West game, guess who he wanted to take? Rosman's Brett Chappell, now the head coach of the Chesnee Eagles, and never lets him forget it. That much is sure. 2:18 left to go in this one as Coach Chappell and Coach Jim Ryan, who you saw there during that discussion, battle it out. Coach Chappell and company going to celebrate this. Braylon Blanton again, a takeaway for Chesnee, and he's refusing to go down at the 35. Finally drags the pile to the 32-yard line. Another key takeaway for Chesnee, and Braylon Blanton, the all-state performer from a year ago, is right in the middle of it once more.
Man, he has had a fantastic night. We talked about that first drive. He didn't get the touchdown. I think I said earlier he did. He had a great catch after Cochran ran, and then Lauder ran in for a touchdown. But watch this right now. It gets up in the air. You know what? If it's in the air, he's got a chance to go get it, made a nice cut, and then he knows what to do with it. He is not going to go down with one player making the effort.
Lauder and Blanton tonight. We've called them the dynamic duo for Chesnee a couple of times. They together in moments like that, and that may be the moment that seals it, have put together a tremendous and memorable evening on our air for the first time here in Chesnee. Under 2 minutes. Now the timeout's going to have to be utilized for RS Central. What can you say about the work of Evan Reese Lauder, quarterback, defender, the list goes on, and Braylon Blanton, talented receiver, as well as you saw there one more time, a ball hawk when it matters most, as he has the snatch away to put Chesnee in position to try and salt away another victory against their rivals from RS Central.
I can do it on both sides of the football, and it goes back to that fumble that we were talking about, as well as the hit was made by Evan Reese Lauder, and it was recovered in the end zone. by Blanton at that point, and then they were a good combination on that first touchdown drive as well. And the interception there that was kind of the last drive. You figured it's going to be 4-down territory all over the field because of the score and the way the situation is right now. And then you put it up in the air and he goes and gets it. So sometimes we do a lot of games in certain parts and there's not a lot of guys playing both ways, but there are tonight.
Now loose for a moment down to the doorstep of the red zone. You saw his reaction. Blake Cochran was thinking, man, I could have taken that on in. Instead, he sets up his team on the doorstep of the red zone. More than anything right now, on the doorstep of trying to put the finishing touches on this football game. That's a first bank red zone scenario as they're going to sit the nose of the football right on the 20-yard line. Boy, Chesnee, the timely takeaways. You think about the fumble into the end zone. You think about the interception we just witnessed there. There are going to be moments either one of these teams could have pointed back to and said, boy, if we could have ended that drive, if we could have held on to the football there, if is the operable word so often on Friday nights just like this. But you credit the Chesnee Eagles as they stepped up each occasion. They had to do something to turn the Hilltoppers aside.
Well, we talked with both coaches this week, and again, we always appreciate their time and opportunities to give us the storylines that we can develop during the broadcast. And they both said it's the little things, and it's turned out to be that. And you know what? You forget that 15-play drive, if folks weren't with us to start things, and Central didn't score, and from there it's been an up and down ball game.
And his team, you see him coaching them up in these moments, has been right there in these contests, and it looks like they're going to come up just short, barring some kind of change of pace here in the last 80 seconds of this football game. But these are those teachable moments that are going to be helpful when they hit conference play.
Yeah, they are. And you know what? When you look at RS Central, Hilltoppers could end up being 0-3. And their losses were to McDowell 24-21, North Henderson 42-37, and what the score shows right there, 28-21 right now. They were in all of them. And
really talented teams, all three.
So despite the fact you're 0-3, there's an opportunity.
Well, you look at Chesnee and everybody's favorite type formation, right on the verge of that victory scenario, as 1 and change remain in this one. You flip over to the other side and you look at Brett Chappell and his group. Another key home win. They have shown to the state of South Carolina, the state of North Carolina in this border battle, the entire region, that they are a force to be reckoned with in Palmetto State Preps football.
I think it's still pretty cool that they want to play. North Carolina, South Carolina, you put there, they're schools that are about the same size and competitive, and they've been able to work it out so they can continue that.
Clinton will be formidable. The reigning champs are the reigning champs until you knock them off. And yes, they're in the region. But this Chesnee team, with the only setback being of the overtime variety when they were fighting down to the final snap, has climbed the hill tonight. And they have welcomed everyone in South Carolina, North Carolina, into their neighborhood. And on the night that the Carolinas was watching Chesnee, the Eagles soar. 28-21 is going to be the final as the last of the ticks roll on off that game clock. And Brett Chappell, you know, wherever we find him, Tommy, has proven to be a winner. He's certainly one of the great gentlemen and one of the tremendous leaders in this game, both on and off the field, with the way he shapes young men. He asked the question that he has posted on a board they hit as they take the field. How do you want to be remembered? They'll be remembered tonight for giving their best, and they come out on top by 7. The Chesnee Eagles invited us to take a look at their football program tonight in a border battle with RS Central, and we thank the folks from Chesnee for hosting us so well. And Tom, when they get to the Bantam Shelf next, here in Chesnee, and they ride up and down 221 or make their way over 11, and Fred Chappell referenced Strawberry Hill for ice cream. He said I have to work hard to keep the kids away from there. Well, they might deserve some ice cream tonight when you consider the way they played. His team kept fighting. They battled to the very end. You know, they didn't touch the football until the final couple of minutes of the first quarter.
That's right.
But withstood the best RS Central could provide, and then turned the Jets on, soaring high to a 28-21 victory tonight. His team standing by with Nelson for the Bojangles Trophy presentation.
Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Concepts. Well, Coach, first thing is first, congratulations on an amazing win here tonight. This is the kind of game that we love to have on Friday Night Rivals. It was everything and then some. It was a tit-for-tat kind of game. The momentum swung back and forth from both teams all night long. It was a rivalry matchup. It was a border state matchup, and it was also a rematch as well. And tonight, you guys have emerged victorious. Let's talk about your thoughts on the game, Coach.
Oh, just a great game. You mentioned it earlier, momentum swings. How many did we have? I mean, all the way through the game, you know, had the kickoff return right to the start with, and then they got in the big kickoff return and came right back, scored. You know, it was just a great game to be a part of. We felt like it was going to be like that. That's a really good RS Central team, heavy with seniors. We knew they were going to battle, and our guys just did a really good job of overcoming adversity.
Earlier this afternoon, you spoke with one of my colleagues, Jason Patterson. You told him, and I'm paraphrasing here, you've seen a lot of growth over the last 2 years, Coach. I'm curious to know, what kind of growth did you see from all sides of the football tonight in the second half of the game?
Oh, the biggest thing for us is finishing, learning to finish there at the end. Defense got the stop that we needed to. Braylon had a big interception, got down there, and coaching staff did a great job of making some adjustments. Defensive coaches outstanding there in the second half, and you know, Evan had some big plays in there for us too offensively. So just a great win. Offensive line did their part. It was just nice to be able to come out of here and finally breathe a little bit.
Now, you mentioned the offense just now. What about the interception in the final 2 minutes of the game? Let's talk about that, Coach.
Oh, huge by Braylon. We were screaming for him to get down. Turn the ball over, but a great job by him. Used our timeouts right. Coaches, like I said, coaches did a really good job getting us in that position.
And now that you guys are 3-1, what's going to be the message to the boys as we move forward for the remainder of the season?
Oh, got one more school coming in, ranked #1 in the state in 3A. We're going to give them all we got.
For the time being, this belongs to you. Let me hear it one time. Go Eagles!
Let us know he still had those prior Bojangles trophies from previous games on television. This time he has one with Chesnee's name written all over it. The Eagles soared tonight. Tom, they'll cruise up and down Chesnee, talking about every little piece of this victory tonight. Offensively, they were solid. Evan Reese-Lauder, when you consider, you know, the 7 completions in 12 attempts for over 100 yards, and then he rushed for 125 more with a couple of touchdowns. Braylon Blanton had the takeaway that sealed it. He was big on both sides of the ball. It was just a complete effort for Chesnee and this group with a high ceiling. Much to build on moving forward. A reminder, we'll see you next week from Polk. For my broadcast partner, Tom Van Hoy, Tim Amos in the booth with us on stats, and everybody working hard for you in the truck, and all those who make these live broadcasts possible. Jason Patterson saying thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure to be with you tonight. Congratulations to the Eagles. A long-awaited trip to Chesnee. It's in a W for the home team.
Friday Night Rivals Scholar Athlete, brought to you by Arby's.
Welcome back to Friday Night Rivals here on the Hunter Hyundai pregame show. Well, folks, throughout the course of the F&R season, we're going to interview an array of Arby's Scholar Athlete winners here on this show. These Arby's Scholar Athlete winners are eligible to receive a $5,000 scholarship. This afternoon, we are joined by the Arby's Scholar Athlete winner from Chesnee High School, Tyler Henderson. Tyler, my man, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Now, Tyler, my sources are telling me you are truly an academic stud. You are Mr. 5.1 GPA, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're also currently in the top 5 in your academic class as well, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So it is entirely possible you could be a salutatorian or even valedictorian when this is all said and done in graduation, is that right?
Hopefully that's how it goes.
I like that, my man. What are some of your post-high school plans?
I plan to attend USC Upstate afterwards and majoring in accounting and minoring in business administration.
Excellent. Now, you're decked out here in your football uniform. We're sitting here on y'all's gorgeous football field, so you know I got to ask you the dual question. What position do you play, and what are your thoughts on tonight's game?
I play outside linebacker and wide receiver, and I'm just excited to get after it. You know, been working real hard the past week, and I think it's going to turn out good for us, hopefully.
Sounds remarkable. Now, even though you're a football star, I gather you are a wrestling superstar. Is that right?
I guess.
Let's talk about it. Tell me about that.
So I've been wrestling since my 8th grade year, and you know, cutting weight and stuff, real tough on the body. But my freshman year, I was able to come out and get 3rd place at state, and then do the same thing my sophomore year. And then last year, I ended up falling short. I had hard competition, and then you know, things didn't go how I wanted it to, but ready to get back after it my senior year.
I like tenacity. Now, very briefly, I gather you have an active presence in the community as well. Let's talk about your volunteer work.
Yes, sir. So last year with that hurricane that came through, it's very devastating. Took out a lot of homes. For the like 2 weeks around that, we was out of school, and I spent most of my time trying to dedicate it to helping others and just giving back to the community.
Truly noble work indeed. Well, once again, Tyler, you are our RB Scholar Athlete winner for this week. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And good luck tonight on the football field as well.
Thank you.
All right. Arby's, we have the meats. We'll be back in just a moment, folks.
Friday Night Rival Scholar Athlete, brought to you by Arby's.
Welcome back to Friday Night Rivals here on the Asheville Chevrolet Halftime Show. Well, folks, throughout the course of the FNR season, we're going to interview an array of RB Scholar Athlete winners here on this show. These RB Scholar Athlete winners are eligible to receive a $5,000 scholarship. Tonight, we are joined by the RB Scholar Athlete winner from RS Central High School, Jacob Hudgens. Jacob, my man, welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Good to be here.
Yes, sir. Good to have you here as well. So, Jacob, let's talk. You're in your football uniform, or half of it in this case. What are your thoughts on tonight's game?
I think it'll be a good game. If we just got to stay focused, stay consistent with our offense, and you know, just play hard.
I like
do what we do.
Play hard and work hard. Yes, sir. And what position do you play?
I'm a linebacker on defense and a H-back on offense.
Excellent. Now, I gather you are a wrestling superstar as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I say so. I'd say I'm pretty good at it.
Let's talk about your accomplishments within that sport.
Well, I'm the regional champ, and then I'm also the state runner-up.
Okay.
Yep.
Most impressive, my man.
Yeah.
Now, I want to shift our focus and talk about academics. How does that GPA look right now?
I believe it's a 4.38, so pretty good, I'd say.
That's very good, I would say. What are some of your post-high school plans?
I'd definitely like to attend college. Hopefully, you know, get a scholarship somehow, and then ain't got to pay for much, and then not really sure what I'd do there, but I know I want to go to college for sure.
I got
Possibly play sports.
I got you. Now, let's talk about your involvement in the community. I gather you have quite the presence. Can we unpack that?
Well, I really just help out wherever I can, you know, with the church, the community, like especially after the floods. I came in and helped with the, you know, handing out food and supplies and moving stuff around. So I really just help wherever I'm needed, you know, and with the football team, with JV and just coaches, wherever I need to be, I just like to help.
And very briefly, why do you like to help? What inspires you to do that?
I mean, I just got a lot of free time. You know, it's good to see people. It's good to help people. And it makes you feel really good, I think.
You have a noble heart indeed. Well, once again, Jake, you are RB Scholar Athlete winner for this week. Congratulations. Here you are, sir. Good luck tonight on the football field, too.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Arby's, we have the meats. We'll be back in just a moment, folks.